My next guest is one of my closest friends. Jim, thanks for making time to be here today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Zach Miller with my co-host, Preston Frosh. I almost said the other guy's name.
Yep. Thanks, Jim, for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me, Preston.
No problem.
And we are touching base with James motherfucking Wyant today. Sorry Vance couldn't be here. I know you were kind of excited for that.
Yeah, man, I get it. You got priorities. You got to sell
He's selling
bull sperm and
bull cum.
Yeah, I mean, that actually sounds cool. And maybe I'd rather be there.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a new.
You big into-
This is a new experience, but that would be a crazy new experience.
Big into semen?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Say it. Kind of a connoisseur.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I delivered semen back in the day, so
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, with FedEx?
yeah.
Yeah, there you
Get the
go.
containers. in.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were referring to having kids.
That too.
Because I was going to say, oh, me too. But I got
Yeah.
you.
I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah.
Delivering semen.
I've had my
Well,
fair share.
that's sometimes Amanda she'll say, it's like, we make really cute kids. And it was like, I just offered up a few ingredients.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
You brought this today. You want to give everybody kind of, I'll pour it. Why don't you give everybody kind of a breakdown of what you brought for the podcast gift today?
Yeah. So again, kind of thank you for having me. I wanted to offer up a gift. That is a Penelope toasted barrel strength bourbon. It is a private barrel store pick from it's a place.
That enough? You want more?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. It's from a place there locally in Omaha. I want to say that I have sampled it there and then decided to purchase, but it's been a while, so I was like, you know what? This is, I think, it's a good, unique gift. It's not something that you guys could go and find in the store here, and I don't even know if you could go to Omaha and find it anymore. So
Really?
I mean, that's just kind of when stores do their private barrel store picks, that's kind of the hype around it sometimes. Is it's really big now, but you once it's gone, it's gone. That was that pick, that was that barrel. You might find something similar again or something like that, but it's never going to be the same. It's kind of like a fingerprint. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you bringing it.
yeah. Well,
I will take an initial sip with you,
okay.
but
Right on.
then I'm going to let it sit.
We know it might be a little hot.
It's going to be a little hot.
Be a
Be a
little
little
hot.
hot.
Be a little hot.
All right.
Cheers. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Actually, not too bad. I was expecting a little more,
Yeah.
let's feel it now.
Yeah, it's going to give you that Kentucky hug on the way down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like a
Not bad, though.
Kentucky.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
not that bad. It's not that bad.
I mean, I don't drink too much bourbon, but that's actually pretty smooth.
It's actually
What
very, the flavor's good. You said
Yeah.
this isn't the smoked one, right? Or it is? Or is
no.
that the smoked one? Did you say we had a smoked one?
So the one that I've got here that I'm sipping on, that's the brand name is Smoke Wagon.
Oh, in my head, I went to a smoked bourbon.
Oh, sure. No. That's just the name, Smoke Wagon. This one, it does have a little extra because instead of it just being in a charred barrel, it's a toasted. I love nerding out on this stuff.
Toasted. That's what it was. Toasted.
Yeah, I love geeking out and knowing these things, but
No.
I'm not. Yeah, I know that's a surprise to you. Yeah, I basically ruined a fishing trip, him and I, when we went to Columbus and just hung out because I spent the whole time just like a walking dictionary, and he's just like, "Geez, man, just shut up. I just want to fucking fish."
I just want to throw my
Cast.
my cast out there and let
Yeah.
it sit there. I don't even know if I want to catch a fish.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm gonna cast this out, and I'm gonna go back inside." And
Yeah.
you
just wanna go to the bar
Just,
instead, or what?
just sit out here and talk to yourself, man. Yeah.
It wasn't that bad.
Well, it might have been.
No,
Maybe-
I
maybe
do
you
enjoy
should-
knowing the stuff about the bourbons and whiskeys, though.
Yeah,
Because a lot of it's intriguing. It's intriguing.
definitely. Yep.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the toasted aspect. I'm not entirely positive what constitutes that because there's certain bourbons and ryes and whiskeys that will boast that it's a toasted finish or toasted barrel, and it's something after they do the char. So, however they go about toasting it, that I do not know.
Toaster.
That's a good starting point, maybe. Yeah.
That's funny. But anyway, I really appreciate. We've been trying to schedule this for quite a while. We had a date scheduled, and then something came up.
Yeah.
But we're here.
We're here.
Vance isn't here,
We're here.
but Preston's here.
Yeah.
We're here.
he's-
Enjoy that.
I am. I've known Preston for really long time, and
Mhm.
that's us.
That's why I thought he'd be the right one to. It was going to be him or Cam. And I'm like, well, we'll just get Preston in here because he knows you. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it could have been anybody. You could have brought in anybody.
Well,
And-
I don't just bring anybody to come co-host the show.
no, I'm
So
That makes
feel
sense.
feel good.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm good.
And-
Keeping the seat.
no,
warm for
I
Vance here.
am very honored to be on this. I think it's awesome what you've been doing, and for how long you've been doing it. It's really cool.
Appreciate it. We've had some ups and downs, but it's been a fun ride
Yeah.
for the most part. Preston's been on useless quite a few things. He's never sat in this chair or this side of the table for touching base, but
Yeah, usually it's over.
He's
on
been
your side.
interviewed
You get to
twice.
sit in this hot seat.
Yep.
Gotcha.
he was
that's
here
it,
for
yeah.
402 baggers, and then him and Nick did. We did a little land party
with the
show.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Recap
That was our first one where we did there wasn't like a set
questions.
It was kind of just a
Go with the flow.
go with the flow spitball. I had some questions that I knew I wanted to ask, but other
Sure.
than that, like some of the initial 15, 20 shows was just a
Yeah. Those the same type of format.
Yeah.
And, yeah. For sure.
yep. These are a lot more fun. We'll have some questions on this one, but we're gonna kind of move around and
Yeah.
talk about
Hit me with it
pretty
all.
much. Hit me with your best shot.
Yeah.
But to start out
Can you
with,
say that? Is that trademark? Can you say
I didn't
that?
sing it in the note or the
You're
key.
right. You're right.
Yeah. So I could speak Lil Wayne
Right.
as a poet,
Yep.
but
And I hope you do.
if I do it in the same, we could get a
Get naughty.
DMCA,
Yeah.
copyright, whatever you want to call it.
Slap on the wrist.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So we always like to get just a little bit of background on people first before, so everybody kind of has an idea of who you are, because not everybody's going to know who you are. You are.
Wait. What?
I know you're famous,
No. I'm just dicking around.
but you are originally from Norfolk,
I am. Yep.
born and raised, right?
Born and raised. Yep.
Good.
October 2nd,
So
1987.
you want to give your social too and your driver's license number? Or?
I can.
An address
Guys.
for me. Preset CCC number.
All right. You go ahead with the question. I'll speak when spoken to.
You're good. You're good. No, only child though.
Yes.
So you and I have that in common. I have a couple half brothers, but I don't usually count it that way. So we have that in common.
Yep.
For a while, you were an only child too.
Quite a while.
Yeah, for quite a while.
Yep.
So we us three at one point in time had that in common for quite a while.
Which
as
is
friends.
actually fairly uncommon, I feel like.
To an extent.
Everybody seems to have siblings of sorts and stuff. So it's like, yeah, for us to share that in common, the three of us sitting at the same table, that is kind of like unique.
It is.
Yep.
How I know you don't you probably don't get out a whole lot when you're back. You kind of just go to the same spots. You go to the two parents' houses and you come here, go to a couple of friends' houses. But how has the city changed in your eyes since when you're growing up, high school, things like that?
Oh man, I mean, so I moved I'm in Omaha now, and I moved to Omaha July of 2013.
Has it been that long?
It has
That's
been
wild.
that long. Yeah,
Jeepers.
it's crazy. It's over a decade in Omaha now.
Old.
But I find myself even sometimes just driving here from a spot I'm not used to driving from whether like my parents or the in-laws. Like I know that route, but today coming over here, I came from a buddy's that lived outside of town, and I took a slightly different route, and I was kind of actually having to watch streets. Like, okay, this is my turn, and I was like, am I really that far disconnected that's what I'm running into?
You're not a Norfolkan anymore.
But that's the other thing too, like what you're asking about. The cityscape has changed, and there's so many different businesses and stuff. Like, I can't rely on landmarks that kind of register in my mind back from when I was 18 to 25 or whatever the range was, and so it's kind of like paying closer attention to that stuff. But I was even just noticing the different buildings that have gone up on the way here, taking that different route, noticing buildings that are not the same business that they were before and stuff like that. And it's honestly, Norfolk has a lot of things that go on enough to where sometimes it's kind of tough to keep up with.
It is. Sometimes it's for the bad or for the good. We also see things where things will try to open, and then there's probably things that have opened and then closed before you've been back.
I even
knew it was
no,
there.
Guaranteed it, yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure you don't pay attention to a lot of that in Omaha because it's just things just happen there, right?
Yeah. I definitely still notice that because and I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead in any kind
You're
of questions
fine.
that might come up and stuff, but so when I first moved to Omaha, one of my earlier jobs took me to a spot in Omaha that was on Saddle Creek and Leavenworth. And then just about and that was kind of a brief period. And then literally just about a year, little more ago, I ended up coming almost feel like full circle and working at a different business right across the street from the business that I worked before,
Really?
like on Saddle Creek and Leavenworth. So then noticing that I've seen different businesses and stuff in that area
Yeah.
and the way that things have changed and stuff like that. And so it's like, I don't feel like I notice it as much in Omaha, but there have been things that have come up where I'm like, oh, that used to be this used to be this. Oh, they're putting this up here. And so it's honestly, it is just the evolution of any type of town. I feel like you get to a certain size and that's just Norfolk maybe like a baseline. But then beyond that, it's like they all just kind of go through this evolution and things just in and out, moving locations.
Also in Omaha too, isn't it like the neighborhood is like your town, like your
It is.
area?
Yeah,
You see more happen in your area.
Yeah, I didn't fully grasp that until living there. But initially when I moved there, people would be like, "Ah, man, they're over in Papillion," and I've lived out northwest Omaha a whole lot, my time there, and people would complain like, "Ah, man, that's all the way across town. I don't get out of my area," and I coming from Norfolk, kind of being like, "It's across town. That's no big deal. You just do whatever.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal." Now it's like I do finally get it because in each little section, you break out Omaha into multiple sections. Each little area, it's got its own community. It's got its own. You might have in this little area, you've got 3 Casey's, you've got a Walmart,
Right.
and it's like these become your stores, and you've got your core stores, and then you can kind of branch over into Southwest Omaha, and it's got the same thing, and it's like so. Yeah, it's like even. People are familiar with here in Bellevue, Papillion, Elkhorn, those kinds of things. But it's broken down even more than that, where you've got these small communities. And it's like, now I finally get it. It's like, man, I don't want to go to that Walmart. I've got my Walmart right here, or,
Right.
or my Target. Or so it's
Turf wars.
Yeah, well, it's more like, the soccer mom turf wars. I don't think the men get into it the same way. But.
It almost sounds like it's almost like subdivisions.
Oh, yeah.
Towns,
Yeah,
towns
absolutely,
and,
yeah.
They have their own subdivision. Like,
Yeah.
we're in the southwest subdivision of Gretna.
There
or
you go.
something, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
okay.
yeah. And then that's the thing though too. Like Omaha is just ridiculously expanding. Always going west, and eventually, like you reach Gretna, and there's not going to be a gap in anywhere. That's kind of how things were with Elkhorn. I remember back in the day, still living in Norfolk and traveling to Omaha for sports or what have you. And when you hit Boys Town, you were almost to Omaha.
Right.
Shoot. Boys Town is practically center Omaha now.
Now, yeah.
So it's like you got Omaha Central High School and stuff. And at one time, it was called that because it was the center of Omaha. Shoot, I relate that to you're downtown now, kind
Right.
of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even call downtown anymore. I'm just not even going that far.
No, no. That's the thing. It's
Unless
all,
I absolutely have to.
It's all archaic and brick road and things are tight and there's no space and it's like I try to avoid going down. I mean, there's great things downtown, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like when when everybody's suggesting on a place to go for something, somebody will throw out downtown because it does have great things, but then you're also kind of like I don't really want to go down there. You just feel cramped and
I'm like
stuff.
one of those, if I'm going to go down there, we're staying down there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a little bit different for us. So, like, if we say, hey, we're going to go downtown, like, we know it's only like a 3 to 5 minute drive.
Mhm.
For you downtown, that's like a 20 to 30 minute drive.
Oh, yeah.
At least.
No,
Depending if you hit rush hour or whatever.
I was just with a buddy last night, and he was talking with another buddy, and that particular guy, he lives in Papillion, but he works in Lincoln, so he makes that commute every day, going back and forth. And he told the middle buddy that he's like, it literally takes me more time to get to your house in Northwest Omaha than it does for me to get to my job in Lincoln. Like, and I've heard that from multiple people. You live in a certain part of Omaha.
It's a fast road. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, you just hop on the interstate. So it's like
just straight west. Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
Him talking about downtown here, I could contemplate if I wanted to walk downtown from here.
Mm-hmm.
If I really wanted to. It's not
I mean, it's not something that you necessarily want to do.
no,
But
I would never want to do it, but it's possible.
if you were in a pinch,
it's a possibility.
you could make it happen. Yeah,
it's a
Or a nice,
possibility.
easy, brisk bike ride.
Yeah, that would work too.
Oh,
5-10 minutes.
Abe Chainer used to ride his bicycle to work
Mm-hmm.
sometimes,
I'd always see him fly past
and
my
that's
house in the
up
morning.
here, like somewhere up here down to the radio station downtown.
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
We did get a little off topic, but I'm okay with that. That's how these podcasts work. So let's go back. You went to Norfolk High.
I did. Yep. Public.
Yep. Can you give us just how was your high school experience?
Honestly, it was good. Being an only child, I didn't have to split my time with any siblings or anything like that. I had very involved parents. Always looking out for me, encouraging me to do things. I had good grades all my life going through, so that allowed me to do plenty of things in school. But I always kind of feel like I had kind of a little bit of like a hybrid social life type of thing, because at that age, I mean, I was in band. I was a skateboarder. I did some athletics. I had these varying groups, and when you break some of those groups out, oftentimes, those are cliques and they clash and they don't mesh. But I was in between them all, and I didn't have a problem with this one. I didn't have a problem with this one. So it's like I was exposed to the whole spectrum of folks, and I feel like my high school experience was great. There's maybe a few things I'd have done differently, but for the most part, I feel like I got out of high school what probably a lot of parents would probably hope that their children get out of it,
Right.
kind of a thing. Great relationships. I mean, you guys were even before high school, so developed some of those relationships, and here we are still.
Right.
Mhm.
But no, I really think that I don't have many complaints about my high school experience.
That was really, so you and I kind of knew each other through like Y Sports and stuff before that, but it was 6th grade into 7th grade when we went to band camp
right.
at the middle school.
Yeah.
To transition was when we all kind of really started
Yep.
to click.
Yeah.
And then through high school, it was kind of a back and forth. We obviously still knew each other, still said hi. It wasn't like a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Him and I were good. Like we stayed good friends through most of high
Mhm.
school, and then, but like band active, like that was, all three of us had that same thing in common. Then you and I quit the same year. No, I stayed one more year than you did. When did you stop band? Sophomore year?
Junior year.
So you and I both quit the same year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So and you stuck through.
Yeah, I stuck through. It was not something that I wanted to go into college doing. I totally had the opportunity, could have gone that route, but it wasn't an interest. Yeah, I got started with band as early as they offered it in elementary school at 5th grade. It was
Me
like
as
giving
well.
it a try.
Yep.
I remember wanting to be a trumpet player, and Mr. Llewellyn going, "Well, your lips are too fat. Your lips are just too fat for a trumpet, my son." So went the baritone route, and that's
Damn lips is too fat.
yeah,
kid.
got them puckers.
Yeah, baritone. That was fun.
It was. I liked that. It was bass clef, but it wasn't tuba. Getting the super deep stuff, and I feel had rhythm, had melody. I liked the instrument I played, and I think because of that is probably why I stuck with it the whole time. Yeah, I dabbled with jazz band a little bit, but I was told that if I was really going to stick with that one, I was going to have to fully transition over to trombone, and I didn't feel like completely messing with that. It was just like, just kind of stick with what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed jazz band when I did it,
Yeah.
but I
fun.
never had to go do any like
Basketball
of the
games or-
basketball games because I was playing.
Sure. Yep. No,
So-
I played some of the games, and then I even did some of those. They they had a few competitions and stuff where I remember going out to Northeast Community College and doing a few things where it's like you had to be dressed up, and then you were doing your little competition and thing like that, and they were cool, but it was like, yeah, I think I enjoy musically. I liked the jazz band stuff. That it was fun, but just kind of the extra to it. I just kind of stuck with the core of the concert band, which transitioned to marching band as we were in high school. But yeah,
I enjoyed getting transitioned to the Barry sax.
yeah,
That was a lot of fun.
I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, you did too. Yeah,
Yep. Tenor, Barry, alto, all of them.
went through all of it. That was the funnest part, was getting those Barry saxes for me.
they had good sound. I remember when
Yeah.
when they when band instructor would stop everybody from playing and have certain sections play, and when he'd have Barry saxes play, it'd be like, ooh, just kind of that,
Or extra
that
squeaks every now
sound
and
that you.
I could never go back to the
No,
alto.
sure.
I still have an alto. I couldn't play. It's just too high pitched,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's what I started on. I was like, there's no way. There's zero chance I could go back and play it
that's cool.
and want to.
I always like the sound of the Barry, and that's the thing. I don't know how you guys, but having that appreciation and experience with like reading music, playing music, all that kind of stuff, like that transitions into any type of playlist or something that I've got for my music, or even like my local radio presets. Man, I've got the public radio that's only playing classical at all times. That's on there.
Yep.
I don't listen to it too much because sometimes I feel like it might put me to sleep depending on the drive. But
But I enjoy it.
yeah,
I've always enjoyed classical music.
I always appreciate the stuff for
I'm
sure.
just a music buff
Yeah.
in general, and I think that mostly came from my parents to start with, getting me all involved in all different kinds of music.
Yeah.
And not taking music away. Like some kids I know in our lifetime that
Yeah.
we've grew up with had music. You can't listen to that rap crap or whatever.
I've gone through transitions. I remember like coming all up through, and then finally later in life, probably high school, just kind of embraced it all, because I went through a period where it was like, I was totally into a hard rock alternative kind of thing, and it was like, I don't listen to that rap crap. And then I totally get into like, that's all I was listening to was hip hop and stuff. And then anybody would give me crap would be like, I just like it for the beat. I just like the rhythm and the beat.
The rhythm
And
and
it's
the
like,
beat.
it's like, no, some of the lyrics are fun. Now you get into like newer stuff, and I'm like, what lyrics?
Yeah.
Sounds.
Right.
It's like you can use the instruments for them sounds. You don't need to be doing that all with your mouth.
Half the songs I like from the beginning is because of the beat
Mm-hmm.
or the guitar line or whatever.
And I feel like that's kind of sometimes what draws you in too. It's like you get those rhythms and stuff, like you feel it in your body. So I stand by what I said, but then I just kind of reached a point where it was like, no, you can go grab any one of my playlists and just hit shuffle, and some song is going to turn up on there that you're going to kind of like,
What is that?
well, yeah. I mean, oh man, I guarantee I have got way more spectrum and random than
Yeah,
you guys.
I'm
Probably
sure.
you guys
I'm sure.
combined.
I'm sure. The older I used to have a lot broader spectrum. The older I've gotten, I keep one playlist, and I'm just like, this is good. I just keep adding things to it as I go, but I don't know. I haven't lost my appreciation for music, but
Right.
I've lost the time I can allot to like trying to find new music.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when I used to do it all the time, I'd literally sit there for hours and try to find any new music I could.
Dude, I remember that one website we found back in college. I think, what was it? I don't even
remember what it was called.
I think it was like everyoneloveshiphop.com.
Something like that.
And that thing was like social media, where it had like a feed, and a post would come out with like a new song, a new something. Like him and I were finding stuff before it hit radios.
It's almost like an old version of SoundCloud or something like
To
that.
an extent, but yeah, it was stuff before the album even dropped. It was before,
Yeah, it was
Pre-releases and stuff.
mostly hip hop stuff.
yeah. And it was cool. I haven't,
Still to this day, I always forget the name of the damn song, but it's a remix version of The Dreams.
I knew that's what you were going to bring up.
Yeah, because you can't find it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can only find, they made a music video out of it, but it was never released on an album or anything else. So you can only go watch the YouTube video
Mm-hmm.
to get to play it. Or that version. I got it on a CD somewhere.
I have it. So I was just talking to you, before the podcast about like I got an old SD card that I got plugged in the Jeep right now, and it's got like 400 some songs at the moment, and that song is on there. Like I do have that track.
You remember
on
what it's called?
there.
I always want to say "Put It in the Bag," but that's not the right
That's
one.
that Fabulous song. The Dream. Oh man, dang it!
Yeah,
of course you would ask. And
you have to remember the hook to remember the song, and I cannot for the life of me in my brain right now remember the hook.
Girl, I can't sing. Can't sing, can I? Girl, I'm in love with you, baby, and I want you to know.
Rocking that body, or rocking that thing.
Yeah.
Rocking that thing, that's what it is.
Yes. It had Luda. It had...
Fabulous was on there.
Yeah, he was too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick Ross, I think, was on there too. We'll listen to it later.
All right.
We'll listen to it later. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. Actually,
I heard it.
I probably played it for you.
I'm sure you've heard it, but yeah, if you just actually try to find the song itself, you're just finding the Dreams version,
The original version.
Not the
and
mix.
like as it's going, like it's still a good song, but you just feel like, oh, there's like 70% missing from this.
If it comes on my playlist, which I have the original one,
yeah,
if that comes up on the playlist, I will then go to YouTube and get the remix version.
yeah.
Like, once I hear it, I'm like, I gotta
hear that one. Yeah.
I gotta get it hard lined in. And okay, let's get back on track. Just we'll get back into some of that stuff. I had a feeling that this podcast was going to be a lot of
and
circling back.
I've never done this, but I feel like I can be a good derailment. Like I can take on tangents.
It's okay. There's no structure. I just want to make sure we get kind of the. And we don't even have to, actually.
No, we should.
We can bust
should.
through
I
some
want,
of this.
I want people to know my
We're just
story.
pissing in the wind right now.
Yeah, we're just pissing in the wind.
Just going with the flow.
Yeah.
But pissing in the wind is bad.
Depends how you look at it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're into golden showers.
You never know.
Self-made golden showers.
never know.
You're all set.
Anything else about high school that you that stood out to you that you want to talk about at all?
I mean, yeah, I said like I only got like a few regrets or something like that.
I don't know if you want to get in. Do you want to?
I can say some about it.
Yeah, pick one.
Yeah, just one. Just getting out of football early.
Yeah,
and we've talked about.
But remember,
that
you weren't. I mean, you were tall, but you were.
Yeah, I hadn't. I mean, I always had broader shoulders and stuff. But he was tall, and I don't know. Early on was predominantly it was still just junior high.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the thing too. I feel like if I had stuck it out and at least got involved with high school football hype, I think I might have enjoyed it more and stuck with it and actually like applied myself differently and branched off. Because as you get into high school, you actually you specialize in a few different positions a little bit more. Whereas I feel like when I was doing it in junior high, I didn't have this little aggression thing going. And it was just this, it seemed like I was always doing offensive line. I love D-line, but I feel like I was always on offensive line. And I've said it, tons of times. I felt like it was work for the coach. I didn't feel like I was doing something for a team. I didn't feel like a camaraderie kind of a thing.
I could see that in junior high. Yeah.
And I really think that it was because, even as we were, with the way that Norfolk's structure was, even once we had gotten to freshmen, we were still at the junior high. It was still ninth grade. Well, practices, we got taken to the high school,
we got bused,
but we were separate from high school football. It was different. And I don't know, that year it just kind of fizzled out for me. And then, my God, actually getting to high school and continuing to grow, I had so many coaches and teachers, teachers that were coaches, giving me crap like, why ain't I seeing you in the fall? And it's, I could name drop multiples, ones that I didn't even have classes with and stuff. And then just, they see me in the hall and it's like, what do we got to do to get you to play football? And it's like, I'm out. I don't know. And then it reached a point where I felt like I could have, I'd feel differently about it if I went out. But then I beat myself up in my own mind, and I'm like, man, I've been out of it now for, a year, maybe 2, whatever. And I just feel like I'd be behind on technique. I don't have that same camaraderie that a lot of these guys have built up through just even a year or two. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's a regret because, size wise at times I've literally been the statistics of NFL players. I'm not saying anything as opposed to talent and ability.
Yeah.
I'm just talking height, weight, all that kind of, the build, the size, which is exactly why teachers and coaches had said, like, why am I not seeing you in the fall?
Right.
So it's always been kind of a regret just to know if I had pushed and applied, like, what could something have happened? But at this stage in my life, I'll call that like a pseudo,
like a soft regret.
A soft
just
regret,
that you want to talk about, but not because it could have and would have maybe changed who you are now.
Absolutely,
in many different aspects. Would have changed your high school path, college path, wife, kids, everything. Yeah. It's like the butterfly effect. It's like I go back and change that, and it's like, well, am I thankful for all the things that I have? Given how many next years? Well, then shut up, right? Because there's a good chance that none of that would have played out the way that it did, right? Had I gone this way. And who knows? Maybe I'd have gotten fucking paralyzed. Could have happened too.
Maybe I'd have ruined my knees. Yeah. It's who knows? So it's one of those where it's like, it'd be really cool to know, but to actually say it's a full regret and try to go back and change it, it's like, I can't do that. Right.
Right. Makes sense. I regret not playing in college. Yeah. But at the end of the day, too, with some of the problems that I'm having now, it's like, God dang, I could have ruined my body for a long time. Yeah. More concussions, I'm already having repercussions from that. It's like if I would have went and played, it would have been hitting harder. It would have been, yeah. So who knows? One
of my biggest things, actually, though, I will, this will be the last thing I say about it.
You're good.
So when I came back here after college, and I did play 1 year minor league football when Nebraska Law Dogs had come here.
Yep.
And, I was way heavy. I was a big guy. And so, like, I made up that O-line with some other real big guys, and I didn't do a bad job.
Right.
And so that was kind of the thing. I was like, you're telling me that I'm this far removed from actually physical activity and actually, like, conditioning, all that kind of stuff. And I did decent enough on this level. It was almost like it was helpful to know a little bit, but then it even made the wondering what could have been in the past even worse, because I'm like, so.
Yeah, that does make sense.
But
that was a lot of fun for you doing that.
It was, and I made some damn good relationships out of that too. And so that's something that I, again, will kind of take with me. And it's like, I might not have those relationships had things changed in the past. So it's again, it all falls back to, like, you change one thing in the past, and you so many things you might be thankful for within that time frame, they might not have been there. So
100%.
You just don't know.
100%.
Yeah. I even had a similar story with you did, or with both of you guys did in high school or whatever. I even had a coach up come to me after basketball season or whatever, or not basketball season. It probably would have been spring, early spring, late winter or whatever. Basically come up to me and goes, don't plan on trying out for basketball next year because you won't make it. And it was just like, really? Yeah. Like, the whole next year I went all through summer, played basketball as much as I could, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I went back. Obviously I didn't try out because at that point I really didn't care. But just watching the people that did make the team, I'm like, I'm better than you. I'm better than you. I'm better than you. I'm better than you.
So you're saying it was a coach of sorts that said that. Mm-hmm. To me, that is a failure as an adult, as a coach.
That happened to me junior year.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't know that you had experienced something like that too. To me, it's like, how dare you?
Mm-hmm.
So that is not your place. Let the kid come. Let the kid show his talents, play his heart out, put it all on the line. Then you can make that decision if that's truly the right decision. But if that ain't the right decision,
just wait. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Now, as I've gotten older, would I go back and think that maybe he was trying to do was to light a fire but I don't think that was the right way to light a fire.
Bad approach.
Bad approach to
Bad
doing it,
approach.
pulling you into the office, telling you not to go out. Like I kind of, I shouldn't say I see where he's coming from because I don't. But now that I think about it, I'm like, well, then maybe some coaches go that route.
It could have been. I feel like
all of us took it. Like me, Chad Ellenberger got the same thing. He left and went to Stanton.
Yeah,
and played.
Yep.
It's like, well, whatever. But
no,
I stuck around for football.
I just think, I mean, to me, if that is truly the was the goal, that's a good take on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if that was truly the goal that they were attempting, the approach.
I don't know that.
No,
That's just
how
I played it out in my head.
honestly, like, you might be giving them a little bit more benefit of the doubt. I
Most
think they might have
likely.
just been an asshole.
Probably.
And
Most likely.
yeah, most likely.
So college.
Yeah.
Where did you attend college, and how did you decide to attend that college?
I immediately out of high school went to the University of Nebraska at Kearney.
Can you spell drunk without UNK?
If you didn't say it, I was gonna. Which I still, anytime ever anybody says that, I'm like, man, that you can't say that college without that tagline. But you know what? I've partied at some other colleges, and I feel like from stories I've heard, maybe that whole "can't spell drunk without UNK" is just a cool little tagline to throw on there, but it really might have been from the Kearney State days.
It's the Kearney State days.
Your
'Cause-
mom has told me about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those stories. Those are some of the stories we need to start telling on the podcast.
yeah. But no, I went to UNK, so I actually my dad's brother, his older brother, lived in Kearney.
Your uncle?
Yeah, they do have a name for it, don't they? I was just trying to. I was just trying to.
You know, the story, the depth of the story. Okay?
Oh man, that makes me. I'm not. This is absolute tangent. What was it? It was on Shark Tank, and it was like something like he goes like. Oh my gosh!
It could have been your mom's
Never
brother too,
mind.
but
Man,
sorry.
I'm gonna botch it. But it was something like the guy's like, my wife's father-in-law, and like Kevin or whatever his name is. He's like, hold up. Isn't that your dad? And he kind of paused and he's like, yeah. So, yeah.
Sorry.
My uncle. My uncle lived, his family lived in Kearney and had pretty much my whole life. And it was one of those where we didn't go and visit them terribly often. And so I knew it was kind of cool because I toured the campus and I loved the campus. I didn't really do too many college tours, but I loved that campus, and having family there, like kind of that if I needed to lean on somebody, like I knew somebody
you
there.
needed something in a
yeah
minute.
yeah. Luckily, I never did. Ran into him a few times at late night Perkins after drinking, but having him there, and then. Honestly, it was one of those things where I had a plethora of good friends and stuff here, and it wasn't necessarily that I didn't want to stick with any of my friends or anything, but it did seem like the choice for a lot of Norfolk High graduates was to either go to Lincoln, Omaha, Wayne, or Northeast. You know, either kept it somewhat local or went to the main universities that are in the States. And just having that slight bit of tie to Kearney with my uncle, and knowing that not many folks were going there, like it was going to push me out of a comfort zone. I was going to be forced to make new friends, make new connections, actually kind of feel like I was on my own. You know, I wasn't going as crazy as like going out of state and doing all that kind of stuff, but it was just enough away that I thought it was kind of cool to venture
And it's
out
farther
that
than
direction.
Omaha or Lincoln too.
Yeah.
So that probably helped a little
I
bit.
think I always feel like it was between 2.5, 3 hours,
About
depending
three-
on how you
about
drive.
3 hours,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, roughly.
So that was kind of the thing. And if I remember correctly, I was one of like 3 out of our graduating class that went to Kearney when we graduated. And our class, I always forget the exact number of our graduating class, but it sat somewhere between like 330 to 350.
I always say 350
Yeah.
is what I say because I think that's about what it was, but I've never gone back and looked at it.
Yeah, it's right around there, give or take that
You
few.
mean you didn't bring the yearbook down?
I didn't bring the yearbook down. No, I honestly, mom's got it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
that's-
yearbooks are at my parents' house.
Yeah.
Haven't.
It was a lot. Though.
Yeah.
I think we were one of the bigger classes.
Sometimes I
like,
want to say
attended.
380 even, and then people look at me like, "No way." I'm like, "We had a big like you get like people forget that at that time there was still a lot of industry here that's not here anymore."
Yep.
Um.
I always
So
felt pretty good. And again, it tied into a little bit of the activities that I was involved in and just the type of person I was. But I feel like easily a very, very high percentage of each of those people I could point out and give you their names.
that was my
kind of
thing too. All through high school, like if you show me a picture of somebody, I can for sure get their first name,
Yeah.
and then sometimes get their last name if they've been through at least the last couple years
Mhm.
of school.
Yep.
Mhm.
If they're brand new, might not be able to.
Yeah. Poopy pants.
Yeah, poopy pants.
Yep.
But I could
Or
name.
nicknames, whatever you thought of the nickname as soon as you see him. Dickhead.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
For a few
No
years
kid.
afterwards, I could still do it, but I couldn't go do it now. I don't think if you showed me a yearbook, took the names out, I could probably get. I could probably get over half.
I'd kind of like to test that, actually. I'd kind of like to do that.
We
as
should
like-
do that sometime.
Yeah.
Slideshow.
Slideshow.
Just a picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should do that.
Name. First
Name.
and last.
First and
Well, not really
I
first and
feel
last.
like
At
I could
least
still get the last a little. Yeah,
a
I don't
portion.
know.
Just a portion.
Did
I
you?
don't know.
Were you on? Were you going somewhere with that?
Which one?
We got to so many. Only 3 of our graduating class went.
Oh, it was just more of like that kind of a percentage
Yeah.
that went there. I was like, okay, some of my reasoning for going there, that's exactly what it was. It was
And when you were going, it was kind of on a come up. Because now it's kind of popular to go there.
oh, is it really?
Yeah, I think it was kind of they were making some changes as a school. They were building new buildings. Their sports programs were kind of coming around.
Yeah, I remember when
At
I
that
first
time.
got going in there. They had recently gotten into the RMAC, the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, and were starting to really make some waves within that conference. They did a lot of travel because I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but the Rockies are pretty flat around us here in this state.
Oh, they are?
yeah.
Oh.
That John Denver's full of shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
You mean
So-
those hills out there aren't?
No, not the sandals. No, not
Okay,
those.
right.
No. So a ton of the athletics and traveling and stuff, they were going and doing battles with Colorado teams and Kansas and which is also flat. So they
Very flat.
anyway. But so yeah, like I remember they were still I think fairly new to that conference, or at
Mhm.
least they were fairly new to starting to be really successful
Yeah.
in that conference.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I hadn't even followed up as much to know that it was somewhat popular going that way.
It is now. You see a lot more people, at least from Norfolk area,
Really?
kind of going there.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Lot of, I mean, you'll see a lot more of the NFL players as far as like that statue like making it to the draft.
Oh,
and
really?
Stuff like that. The
In
college
that
players and
area.
Stuff,
Yeah.
making it
Nice.
stuff. So it's
Standouts.
yeah, it's a lot more.
Yeah.
That's what you'd say. Up and coming.
Up and coming. Major was what?
Minor.
His major was minor.
Major is minor.
I majored in minoring.
Yes.
No.
That doesn't sound good.
My-
You should maybe retract that
Oh
statement.
yeah.
Don't you retract that statement a little
Yeah.
Take it back.
Yeah.
Rewind. Can you hit the
Wording.
rewind button?
Wording.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh. Ooh.
bit?
Yeah. You set me up.
He did.
did.
That was a pretty bad one. Yeah.
Now, major that I ended up graduating with was industrial distribution.
What'd you start with? Because I don't even know if I know that.
I think I may have declared a psychology major when I went to UNK, and I found out literally within the first semester that the reason I liked the topic, I liked psychology the way that it was, but I quickly found out that the reason I liked it so much was the teacher that I had senior year in high school and the way he presented it and the type of teacher he was. Quickly found out, because even my gen ed psychology, I didn't care for that professor at all. And it was like, it was kind of, I felt very naive. It was like, you're young at that age. You're still just like kind of branching out into stuff and going that direction. And it was very quickly, it was like, okay, I like the topic. I don't know that it's not being presented the same way. I'm not gravitating it to it the same way. I don't think this is what I want to make my 4 years here at university revolve around. So I think it was probably within that first semester that I undeclared that and didn't continue down that path.
Quick little tidbit for you and Vance is that
This is Preston.
I know, but you both almost went down the path of what we like to call nowadays more of a left-leaning degree, because he almost went down political science.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because he wanted to be a lobbyist. And I said,
Okay.
you are literally now the complete opposite of what a lobbyist does now. Now, at the time, maybe if you would have got in and done what you do now, you would have made some waves.
Sure.
But it's like probably a good thing you didn't go through. I mean, it wouldn't have affected him, but think how many people it does affect. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did not know that about you.
Yeah, it's such a brief time in like my story, my background, that it's like when you brought it up, I paused. I had to think about it. Like, what did I do? But yeah, it was a clear realization that like, no, I loved the way that my teacher in senior high school really presented it and took that, and and it was just not anywhere near the same. Completely different.
So what's industrial distribution?
Well, that one, the tagline would always say with that one, because that question would come up all the time. It's not like saying I'm a pre-med or something like that. It was a degree in technical sales with an emphasis in, you used to say like branch management. So
sounds like manufacturing sales.
Yeah, it could be either. It could be that was you had two routes to go. You had manufacturers, and you actually had a distributor. And the idea was that, because it required an internship, the idea was that you would either get into it and go down the sales route, whether it be inside or outside sales, or into branch management function of that. And then we always had the tagline, the saying that a manufacturer, they know a lot about a little, because they know their products inside and out. If you worked for a distributor, you knew a little about a lot, because you carried many different manufacturers as being a distributor. My goal with that one, I was just the way that I am, sort of when it comes to nerding out on something and trying to know something really inside and out. I really kind of wanted to latch on to doing like a manufacturer's role. Because like, I think it'd be super cool to be a part of this company. And man, if I've got a question from a customer, or if I've got a question myself on how this particular product works this way, shit, I can go talk to our engineers. I can go talk to our folks that are building this thing. Yeah, so that actually was more appealing to me. When I graduated, was December 2009, and our keynote speaker, so it was kind of like midterm. Our keynote speaker, the summary of her entire speech was, don't be afraid to go out there and put on your work boots and take a lesser job. And it was simply based on how the economy was going at the time. I forget how many folks in my degree graduated midterm in that December. But it was kind of a small percentage that actually had secured a position. And some of them might have been with the company that they had interned with. And then the rest of us, I found out that the company that I interned with it probably could have worked with them, but they were on a hiring freeze simply based on how the economy was going.
Yeah, it was coming out of the '08 tank.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a bummer because I really feel like going down that path, it would have been really cool and it would have been interesting. And it's something that, I mean, my wife and I have talked about, like maybe I should try to get back towards
Mhm.
because it's still very interesting. And it's nothing like it used to be,
Mhm.
but it's not something that I necessarily couldn't try to pick back up. But not having that path directly out of graduating it with college, ended up going different routes, doing different jobs and things like that. So kind of just changed the trajectory a little bit, you know?
I just wanted to bring it up because it's definitely a unique degree
Yeah.
to have.
And I do know, so I still get like the emails and stuff, alumni emails and all the different things. And that particular degree program is booming at UNK. At the time of me going there, they were really proud to say that they were the second largest ID program in the country, first being Texas A&M. So a huge
Mhm.
D1 school.
Right.
And that's where it really kind of started. And the founder of the program at UNK, I want to say he might have had ties or something to Texas A&M or something along that. That might just be, I might just be making that up at this time.
He had a degree from Texas A&M, so he probably has knowledge there.
I don't think so. He was a little older. He was, anytime he would have actually graduated would have been well before that program would have been introduced at that college. But were you trying to make it funny?
I was just trying to make a connection for you.
Okay. I
Make
love
it simple.
Don't.
Okay. I'm just gonna take a little sip.
I have to pee already. I drank that IV and I know. The viewers know. I make it about an hour,
Usually about an hour in.
and we're not quite there yet. But I knew this was gonna happen.
That's all right. That's all right.
We're gonna take a quick pause, and we'll be right back. We're back.
We're back. You're emptied,
I'm emptied.
feeling
There was
comfortable.
a long pee.
I heard it.
Yep.
I heard it.
Yep.
I took my headphones off because I wanted to.
I wasn't
wanted
lying.
To take it in.
Yeah, I wasn't lying.
No,
Good thing I left the door a little cracked for you,
that was.
so you could
I
get
appreciate
the
that.
ambiance of
Yeah.
the waterfall.
You should have just left it recording so that everybody could have got that.
Sometimes I do, but
Do you really?
So we kind of talked about your degree. Tell us just a little bit about your college experience. I'm sure it was enjoyable,
Yeah, it was
but
good.
if you want to give like a, we can talk about it for a little bit, but whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, okay. So college experience, the transition from high school to college, anybody that's done that and didn't necessarily whatever drive and reasons you might have had for doing what you did and how well you did them in high school don't always transition, in my opinion, in my experience, to college. I know my dad would like to give me, he still gives me lots of crap about like, oh yeah, your social life, you definitely graded well, probably early on in college. Cause I had some classes and stuff that I didn't do what I was accustomed to doing in high school. And it was like, well, it was a little different. I had different factors and things. And yeah, I definitely had temptation of hanging out when maybe I should have been studying a little bit more or something. Like I never put myself in trouble or anything with getting kicked out of school or anything necessarily like that. But it was obvious. It's like, oh yeah, this only child, he had his parents cracking the whip at home, and now he ain't at home, and he's indulging with some friends here and there and stuff, and also just kind of popping that cherry, realizing like, oh, you mean you don't always have to go to class? Like, so there a couple of times, some of those early morning classes, they suffered a little bit, but experience-wise, I kind of figured it out, picked myself up, did things well, and then towards the end of college, I made Dean's List a couple times, so it's like I sorted it out and figured it out and found the balance. But similar to high school, I went to college So my personality, my outgoingness, my everything, that transitioned over just fine. So I got a ton of relationships and friendships out of that. Had a great time, great experience. I think Kearney was a fun town, great town to be in. Had a couple jobs here and there doing things. I did intramural sports. I was a coach. Why would you say that, Preston? A ref. I did some refereeing for some of the different intramural sports. That was a job.
You were a zebra.
Yes. But we didn't wear those.
Oh, you didn't wear the...
I forget what they had us wear. That kept us separate from just a random person running around out there with the rest of the phones. But yeah, a couple different jobs here and there, good relationships. I don't know if this is where you were leading into, but college was the time that you and I like rekindled and fanned the flame of our relationship and our friendship.
Yep.
I know both of us know the story very well of how it was just a random time. I had visited back home, and I'm pretty sure it was still on MSN Messenger back when that was a thing. I don't think Facebook Messenger was a thing just yet.
MySpace.
Yeah, I didn't dabble enough with MySpace. I'm almost certain it was still
Probably
some MSN Messenger.
Could have been.
Or it might have even just been texting. I don't know. But
it was definitely something on the computer. So I just don't recall what platform it was on.
Sure.
AOL.
No, I didn't.
I wasn't an aimer.
I wasn't an aimer either.
Yahoo.
I never was a Yahoo.
I'm
I
just
was
gonna
MSN.
say that it was MSN Messenger because it was. I don't need you guys to agree. It
probably was. It probably was.
But you had hit me up. I was just poking around on the computer, and I actually think that it was like a Sunday night, and I was going back Monday morning. I didn't have a class until late, kind of a thing that particular semester or something, or whatever was going on. But you just randomly hit me up on instant messaging, and we just started kind of chatting. And then I think the conversation might have just kind of ended like, "Hey, hit me up the next time you're back here in town. We'll hang out or something." And I did. And we got together, and stuff just like flourished. It was bigger and better than it ever was in junior high, high school, any of that. And it was awesome. We had a great time, and it kept going that way. And then after being down at UNK for a couple of years in the dorms, our relationship grew enough that it was like, maybe Zach wants to come down and be at UNK with me. And so then that's what happened. So the first off-campus housing I had in the apartment, we were roommates, and yeah, we've had a fun history with that going forward.
Yep.
So
definitely some stories we can't tell on the podcast.
Oh yeah, we could. They're either incriminating or embarrassed. I don't get too embarrassed by anything, but it's one of those things. It's like not everybody needs to know all the stuff, but no, that's. So I would say, I was there 2 years in the dorms, and then you had come down, and then so literally half of my college experience you've been a part of.
Yep.
Both of you came down to visit when I was still in the dorms.
Yep.
I remember that, and it's cool. It was a great time, and I really think that you coming down and being a roommate then for half of my experience down there, that made my experience down there that much better and that much more fun.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun we had.
It was a great time.
I didn't do as well at school, but it was a good time when we were down there.
You see, I burned through like my first couple of years, kind of a thing, playing around and goofing around and trying to sort it out. When it's like, then I invite you come down, and it's like I might have had things figured out just a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So it's like we went.
School wasn't really for me.
We went through the growing pains at different, a 2-year stint difference.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
I've just come to realize the school just wasn't. It was too structured for what I wanted to do in life.
Sure.
And it wasn't. wasn't my thing.
I mean, that's a whole separate tangent to go off on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just we've talked about it on the pod. Like Vance and I. Vance didn't finish either,
sure.
so we always have this conversation of but we're both in decent spots in life.
Absolutely.
Whereas not
Yeah.
everybody really needs a degree to do
Well, yeah. I mean, I
something.
fit that same boat too.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you do too.
Because I tried to branch off to 2 different types of degrees. And after the second try, I was just like, no. Like I'm
Yeah.
not gonna, like in my mind at that point in time, it's like I'm not gonna waste money on stuff that I can't in my life. At that point in time, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm like, if I ever wanted to come back, obviously now the online thing is the big hype now. So
Sure,
if you
yeah.
want to do a degree from home,
Mhm.
obviously the online way, or if you're that type of person that needs to be in school, like in front of somebody to tell you everything, you still have that ability to go to the community college or
Right.
whatever you want to do, you could still do it. Obviously, pricing difference from now back then to what it is now is obviously quite a lot different.
A lot
Way different.
But I mean, the options are there if you want to go back. So
And
Definitely.
I think, and I'm sure it's come up, and I feel like it's even more of a topic, just socially these days. But don't discredit trade schools.
We
Is-
talk
is-
about that on here too.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, that's the thing. It's like, man, there's plenty of times now that I love doing stuff with my hands. I love the knowledge of how things work. I love so many different things with that. Where it's like, why are we? And I do think that the stigma has been pulled back a little bit. Like, not everybody's funneled into college the way that for a long time it was. Like, that's your next step. That's the way that it goes.
You gotta do it. You gotta have a degree,
Right.
or you won't get hired.
And I'm sorry, but we're all old enough. We've gone through job markets and stuff. Like, man, that piece of paper doesn't mean it doesn't
Shit.
it doesn't mean shit. Yeah, it doesn't mean what it used to, and it all just keeps changing.
Mhm.
So it's like maybe back, way back in the day before our time, having an associate's degree, that was a big deal.
Mhm.
That meant something. Well, then then it's like funnel all these folks into a college and get a degree, and it's like, well, now you got a saturated market, and now you got degrees that don't mean a goddamn thing.
Mhm.
But they went to college, which to an extent it stands for something. It means that
You got your gender studies degree.
Yeah.
right.
I don't even want to talk about that stuff. I mean, I will, but no, you've got so many of these like things going off in random directions, where it's like, how is that really going to transition to the real world? Isn't that what college is supposed to be?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we coming up with all these degrees? You know what? Very, very easy answer. Colleges run on money.
Yeah.
And
100%.
so the more different varying degrees we create,
The more people you get.
whether that does a damn thing after graduating,
Mhm.
that doesn't matter. We got our money. You got your paper. That's what you wanted to come here for.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like I was saying, like your associate's degree meant one thing. Well, then you flood the college think tank, the pool, and now that associate's degree, that doesn't mean what it does. You really need to get a bachelor's degree. Well, we're even at the stage now where that bachelor's degree, that doesn't carry the weight.
Not to get higher.
You need a
Yeah.
master's. Oh, now we'll pay attention to masters. And I feel like even getting towards a master's degree level, we're seeing it now where that doesn't even mean
Hold
what
as much
it-
weight.
It's never going to. It's not-
Right.
I can't believe the way things have gone. I can't believe that they haven't come up, and maybe I'm naive and I don't know about this, that they have not come up with some type of degree, some type of education that is like, an actual degree that you would get from an institution that is beyond a doctorate.
Yeah, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it gets to the point where it's
That's
like
when you just get multiple PhDs.
I guess.
That'd be your
Yeah.
end game.
That'd
yeah.
be your
But-
flan.
but that's-
I've got 8 PhDs. You only have 6.
Sure. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, and that's nothing. That, don't get me wrong. There are degrees and there is education
That you want people to have a degree in.
Absolutely,
Right.
Especially some on the medical side.
Yeah, medical side.
Certain engineering degrees,
Lawyers.
Yes, there are some that they carry their weight. They matter.
Yeah.
Yes, let's actually like those are staples. But a degree in gender studies, a degree, some of these random ones that are just, well, what are you going to do after college? What you going to do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with that?
What are you going to do? Yeah.
I'm gonna hand it to my next employer at
You can,
XYZ.
here's what you do. You can put that degree in the on your dashboard and park in the handicap section.
Yeah, they should just redefine whatever job type you want to go into, whatever job area you want to go into. They should just redefine your college experience based off of that. Like how much experience what you think you need.
Yeah.
If you want to go into sales, you could get away with maybe 2 to 4.
Sure.
That's the max you can do.
But then
If
you
you
want
wanna-
the experience.
But if you want to be a
Let's-
lawyer or something, obviously you can go up to that full 8,
Mhm.
or whatever, and then some. But then everything else is like, what do you want to do in life?
What's
What do
your
you
end
want to
game?
What's your end game? What do you want to
Yeah.
do?
And-
Okay, you can go to school for 2 years. Just get that piece of paper, and you're qualified.
Yep.
Like,
And that's what I think a lot of the trade school stuff does. Like you don't see the trade schools like going into long drawn out degree stuff.
Mhm.
They're
They don't need to.
Yeah. Well,
They do your basic running a business.
let's say like you're going into a trade school, whether it's pipe fitting, it's
Mhm.
electrician, all that stuff. Like it's a couple years.
Yep.
Then you get into an apprenticeship.
Yep.
Then you build up your hours, you build up your knowledge, you go through all that stuff, and then it's like all of those different certain trades have your journeyman,
mhm.
and it's like those things have been around for decades.
Yep.
And they don't need much manipulation because that's how it works. Like
Yeah.
we give you your foundation. Now go out and do.
Right.
Figure it out,
Mhm.
advance yourself,
Mhm.
reach these next levels, and then you go on and you do these things. And it's like that's kind of stood the test of time. Not to mention we need those types of jobs.
We're in a very depleted position for those positions,
yeah.
actually.
I do think that things have turned around and are a little bit better than, I don't know, maybe give or take the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Like the trades are definitely promoted more because the realization is come that like we're gonna need these.
Well, the stats I saw, we still need, like, I don't even remember them off the top of my head, but it was like 300 some thousand electricians to be replaced in the next 10 years
Wow.
or something like that across the U.S.
I believe it. Yeah.
So, and that was just electricians. That doesn't include plumbers. That doesn't include,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you and I don't want to do.
Right.
Like, I'm not dealing with wiring.
See,
I won't touch it.
so I had a job change a little over a year ago, and at that time, that was something I explored. I was actually thinking about trade stuff, and
I didn't even know that.
yeah, I was exploring a lot of different avenues because
OnlyFans?
Feet finder.
I didn't think that would probably be very lucrative for me.
Okay.
So I didn't explore that path very well, or very, very, very much.
Very well, he said.
Well,
I thought about it.
Either one, yeah. It's like, yeah, 50 cents every couple weeks.
You didn't want to go with the no butt Hulk?
Nobody. I don't think. I haven't tested that market. Maybe it's a desired.
It's a niche.
Yeah, it's a niche. I kind of doubt it though. I get enough crap from the general public. Like, how do you sit in a chair and not slide right out? I really do need to do more squats.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
It's all right.
take you off on a tangent there.
Yeah, I'm good with every tangent.
Yeah.
This can just be a tree branch all over the place. But electrician was kind of where I had landed because being older and being a homeowner, like there's been a lot of different little tasks and stuff around the house and do it yourself and that kind of stuff that I've kind of dabbled in, and I've always kind of like I known my limits, but there's a handful of things that I have done myself that many people would have called a professional, but it was one of those where it's like I researched it a little bit, I explored it, and I was like, no, this is within my limits. I could handle this. I could do this, and I'm going to learn something out of it. And it's actually, as much as sometimes you're actually like you're trying to fix a problem, you're taking on a task. Kind of cool. It's kind of fun to like
Mhm.
gain something out of it. Like I mean, I've changed the thermocouple on my water heater. I've changed the other thermocouple on my furnace. There's been a handful of things, and so some of those things have kind of like they kind of got me thinking like, okay, what if I shift gears here? You know, I didn't necessarily go down my degree path, but the jobs and stuff that I was doing, a lot of mostly payroll, mostly accounts payable, that kind of stuff. I was like, well, what if I branch away from that and get into some other stuff? And I had kind of looked at a few things, and electrician is kind of where I landed. So I was talking to one of the local unions there in Omaha, kind of figuring out what their program entailed.
You went that far.
Yeah, well, I mean, it
Yeah.
was a simple initial call.
Yeah.
It wasn't as far as like.
Well, it's more than just a thought in your head. Right?
Well, yeah, I suppose I needed to flesh it out a little bit. Is this viable? Is this a viable option?
Yeah.
And the thing was that was kind of, it was disheartening and it was a little discouraging, but it was like, well, to shift gears and go after something like that with zero experience, kind of starting at the ground level with that was going to be such a drastic pay cut, just a change in the household income with having a family to support. Like it was just at the stage in my life when that was taking place, it was like as much as my brain would love to do it, and I think I would like feel fulfilled and enjoy my day, and down the road could be an incredibly lucrative thing.
Right.
It just the timing wasn't right. So, I played around with some of those things and looked into a few different things, and then I actually, mostly just because I was like, well, I got to do something, because just thinking about doing something is not providing.
Right.
So I did kind of fall back to what I'd been doing the last few years with like a payroll, accounts payable, that kind of accounting side of stuff. And so that's what I'm back in, but with a whole different structure of a company, and things are good. Like it's been a good thing. It was just kind of a bummer realizing like, I almost kind of just missed my timing if I wanted to go down that path.
Right.
So
right.
But that's something that I've realized too. It's like if my children, when it comes time for them with their interests and the things that they're focused on and the things that they might want to do, and even me as a parent recognizing maybe what they're good at that they're not fully recognizing themselves, there's no way in hell that I will ever like steer them away from trade school or something like that.
That's good.
I'm not going to push them that direction
Right.
necessarily.
But let them fall into it if they want to.
I will let
Right.
them follow what they,
Yeah.
So
And going back to like the degree thing, that's one thing I proved to myself. It wasn't that I couldn't do it because I passed all the tests for what I do now. So it's like you just have to be interested. Like it was an interest thing for me. I
Sure.
wasn't interested in the stuff that they were trying to provide to me at the school.
Yeah.
So
it's not that's the other thing with so many schools. It's like a one size doesn't fit all.
yeah,
Right.
which is what they try to do.
But
for the most part.
unfortunately, the structure and the way they go about it, that's about all they can try to do sometimes. I mean, you've got some very like more innovative styles of schooling and different things
Right.
that some folks have dabbled with, but some of the stuff that the paths that they go down, it's like how they're almost kind of pigeonholed into this is kind of how that we have to go about it.
Right.
You have to really almost get some real innovative folks in there to try and change it up, that it will cater to way more different types and styles.
Right.
Oh.
You kind of got into your career path a little bit.
Mhm.
Do you want to kind of give us your career path after college?
Oh man, I feel like
However in depth you want to go.
so. When I had graduated, again, didn't have a full-time position secured right out of college. I ended up moving back home to Norfolk, and at that time, I had just started working at the local Napa here. My dad was a retired mail carrier, and one of his like kind of side part-time jobs was running parts for them, and he was like, "You can come back here and could probably easily get you on the payroll here, and even some of the stuff with your degree actually has some overlap with the type of stuff that they do."
Yeah.
So that's what when I came back, that's what I did. and was working there for a little while, and then from there, during college, over my summers, I was coming back and working with the state Department of Roads, and that was just kind of the summer jobs I was doing. Well, then summer came around after I had graduated, and it was kind of like, kind of going to go back there, just more chasing a better paycheck kind of thing. So I went and did that. And then I think even for a brief period, I was doing both. I did Napa and that, and it wasn't working out. So I was done with Napa there for a while. But the Department of Roads thing was kind of seasonal.
Right.
So when I got out of that, I kind of had like a lag time in there where I think a lot of what I was doing was probably getting together with you and just hanging out and having fun.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't sit well with the parents. I don't know why.
I have no idea why that would be the case.
Oh, freeloader comes to mind or something like that, maybe. But so when I had actually interviewed and had kind of started the process with Mutual of Omaha and got going as an insurance agent with them. But it was, in order to get with them was passing the test. And I procrastinated and drug my feet with actually like taking the test and going through and getting with that. And then I finally did that. I got with them, and I took off on a really good start. I was doing well with that, and I enjoyed it. I definitely, I mean, you're in the industry. You understand like the logic and stuff behind it, to where it's like, yeah, you can get behind this because it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so I did well with that, but just I started kind of taper off. I got lazy with it, and I really think that the reason that happened for me was like I was living at home
Mm-hmm.
with my parents, pretty carefree kind of a thing,
Didn't have a
Slayed back.
I didn't have a fire under my ass.
had no reason to do anything differently.
Yeah, and then I feel like I kind of felt some of that success early on, but I know that that's can be kind of a given in that industry. Like you can take off kind of well. It's kind of like continuing that motivation and maintaining and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of where I dropped off. And so I ended up getting out of that and actually ended up going back to Napa for a period of time just to fill in and do some stuff there. But then after that, I had switched and I ended up opening up the Hertz rental car location here in Norfolk. And
I actually kind of forgot about that.
yeah, I've had kind of a considerable list of stuff.
You got a laundry list?
How much time do we got? What?
I don't know if we have time to get through all that, Jim. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Just paraphrasing.
I'm just kidding.
I did that. I did that, and I enjoyed that. But I was a one-man show here in Norfolk. They were kind of testing the market, and things were going well. But I was a satellite location off Sioux City for the first I think I had counted. I think it was the first 16 weeks I was commuting every day to Sioux City when I was told that it was going to be, after a month, I was going to be at the location here in Norfolk. Now, it's not as big of a deal because it's a rental car company. I was literally using their cars, their gas every single day.
Right.
And I was single, living at home, like all this stuff. So it's like my time that was wasted doing the commute, it didn't bother me as bad. So I stuck it out with them and then took over the location. But then the way things had played out here in Norfolk, met my girlfriend, now wife, and she had got into the nursing program at Nebraska Methodist in Omaha. And so she was the type that was like, I want to stick with this gal. So I looked into exploring options of actually moving to Omaha. And that I wasn't interested in trying to transfer with Hertz to Omaha. Didn't do that. Got to Omaha, and I think the first job I had there for a brief period of time was U.S. Cellular. And it wasn't there very long. And then I went to assistant manager at a shoe store. And I wasn't there very long. And then I got into U.S. Bank. And I stuck with that one for a while. That one was a little bit better of a job, learned a lot more stuff, and had some stability. And then from there, I had gone to Kiewit. And I was at Kiewit a good while. I want to say started there December 2017. And then
And that's where you got into the accounts payable
when I
side.
first got going there was payroll. I did payroll. I was hired on as a lead, and quickly was promoted into a supervisor. And so it really felt kind of good because I found myself measuring myself up against others, kind of like, how long was this person lead before they went to be a supervisor? And I found that it was kind of quick, and so it felt pretty good about myself. I didn't get too big of a head, but it was more just like I felt the weight on my shoulders. Like I got to not screw this up. I got to do good.
Yeah.
And I kind of rode that out, and then shifted gears and went to an entirely different department, which had a whole different management style and everything like that. So I was a supervisor in accounts payable, and then saw some different transitions and stuff through that department, and then ended up parting ways with them. It's just some differences and things, and I got nothing bad really to say about Kiewit as a company. But then that kind of led me into the spot where I'm like, okay, now I feel like I almost have to kind of rethink, do I want to go after this, or do I want to go after this? Or so then it kind of got that figured out. And like I said, previously, kind of realized that, well, a lot of employers are looking kind of at like experience. And if we're going to base it off of that and what I've been doing for the last, I think it was a little over 6 years, it was the payroll and the accounts payable. So now that's what I'm doing. I'm with a company in Omaha called Access Elevator and Lifts, and it's much smaller company, but I run the whole payroll scene, the whole accounts payable scene. There's been a lot of good things that come out of that. Like I said, I don't have anything negative really to say about Kiewit as a company, but it's a large company,
right?
That company, when you combine everything going on in the United States along with a big presence in Canada, is sitting about 30,000 employees,
right?
And we were running payroll and accounts payable for all of it, and to shift down to a much smaller company, still has a pretty big footprint throughout the Midwest, but about 60 folks,
right?
And
a little easier for you,
a little bit handling. I mean, it makes sense to be handling it all, kind of a thing. All of the payroll, all the accounts payable, and I'm pretty comfortable with what I'm doing. But I know that I'm built for more.
Yeah,
I've even been told that by the powers that be at my current company. They've actually said, they're like, just let us know if you're thinking about something else, because we're really happy to have you. We know that you're capable of some more stuff. So we want to keep you on board. So that was one of those things that also kind of really made me feel like, well, I'm valued here.
Well, that's good for a smaller company like that. Granted, I mean, I would say that the size of it, but they're reaching out to you and being like, hey, you're doing such an awesome job that we can see it at our location that you're obviously leaps and bounds of what you could be, obtaining or whatever. And we're glad that you're here to help maintain our company.
It's definitely something that's kind of boosted my, I don't want to say ego, but my confidence in the way
it feels
that
good to be
everything.
appreciated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places you can go that, especially if you're probably at Kiewit, you were just a number.
And that's the thing. There was so many times that I didn't feel that way, but then there, kind of towards the end of my stint, it got that feeling just a little bit. There was some changes above me and that kind of stuff, and it just, things shift a little differently, and I was just like, yeah, the large company, the way things are handled. I don't care what a company says. You can only get your culture to a certain spot when you've got such a high volume. You always will kind of fall into that everybody's a number. So it's granted, big companies are successful and they do good things, and they can really have an awesome culture. And there was a good part of that, but you just can't help but get away from the facts that it's like, well, yeah, we've got a good culture, but this department itself has 50 folks. So things start to just,
and companies that size have cultures on paper. So I'm sure you guys had probably called it something. I don't know what you guys called it, but it was probably called something that you guys had to follow.
Oh, all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah. Protocol, culture, and And that was one
So
thing.
most companies call it something. Like it's got a name. Like if you think back to this, whether it's the handbook or the
Handbook is
whatever.
what I was thinking.
Sure.
If you think back
Yeah.
to this, then make sure you're doing things that way. Like at US Cellular, it was called the DO, the Dynamic Organization.
Yeah, that was stupid.
And I'm like, this thing, like this is almost culty,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's why I don't do big companies. I just can't do it anymore.
I just kind of skimmed through it and just obtained what I needed to obtain and just threw the
But
book out.
all managers would reference back to it. Well, if you remember the DO,
It's like the circle.
yeah.
Tone at the
Yeah,
top.
sir.
If you remember the DO, then you should be able to handle this situation correctly.
Yeah. And there's too many fallbacks with that kind of stuff where it's like it's a crutch. It's like, no. Deal with this as a person. Deal with this, as a group. Like actually take personalities, actually
Yeah,
take
we're not robots.
differences. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely appreciate my experience there and seeing, because there were good aspects and then there were other not so good aspects. And now coming to a smaller company, which is it's two brothers that own it, co-own, took it over from their dad who started it back in the 70s. It's just like it is a vastly different kind of thing going on. The exposure to both and being able to kind of see like the pros and cons of both, and it's like anything that I have, whatever my future might hold, like I'll always have those experiences, and I'll also have kind of that knowledge in the back of my mind of like, okay, maybe I'm checking out this company. What's their size? What's their structure?
Baby, what's your shoe size? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I'm surprised I haven't
sometimes
had
there's-
more of those spurts. I've had to hold myself back.
Don't hold back. Don't hold back.
I gotta be.
That's not
I gotta be semi-professional.
exactly. I
I know. We'll get there. I'm trying to get through the
The serious stuff first.
serious stuff.
Drink.
It's
He's-
gone.
He's already drank his drink.
Have you?
I haven't
really?
drank my
Yeah.
drink, but I'll do a little tippy tip. Cheers, man.
A little tippy tip. The so out of all of those, what has been your best experience or your favorite place to work at? Everywhere that you've been. And this has nothing to do with where he's working now if he doesn't choose that. So to make sure you put that out there.
Yeah. Now is a big one. I really liked Hertz. Not necessarily what I was doing, but I'll always kind of think the trust that was instilled into me to go to a whole other town and kind of run that as a one-man show and be successful with it. I remember being told, like, they were going to give me a few cars. It was considered your fleet. I was given a few vehicles. It was like 4 to 6. And at one point, with all the rentals and all the things going on, and this isn't all on me. This is just the way that the market would go. At one point, I had 15 vehicles out on rental, making money. And I remember the branch manager of the Sioux City location, and he'd been working with Hertz for a long time and kind of come up from, like doing it at this level and made it all the way to that level. He really had like compliments and was impressed, saying like, man, I thought maybe we'd get you to 10 vehicles out after a year or so here. And I had been doing that in a short period of time. So I don't know. I kind of enjoyed a little bit of the independence and the trust that went on with that one. But yeah, I suppose. But now too,
Yeah.
I think it's also the freshest in my mind. Is like,
Right. I had a feeling that was probably
I-
going to be the case, but
I literally just had my annual review. Like I said, this is
Oh,
this
okay.
is, so I just had that, and just kind of the words and things that were discussed and talked about when I had that review. It really was kind of a confidence booster and
Good.
stuff like that. And so it's like,
usually your reviews don't go that well, so it's good to hear yours was. In general, like your end reviews usually are. I shouldn't say mostly negative, but usually talking about the things that could be done better.
mm-hmm.
So
and there was not much of that brought up
good.
really at all. So I felt pretty good, and I've been told it multiple times, and it's been nice to kind of hear it from. So like, I've got I've got my office manager who's considered like the CFO, and then the COO, and then the two brothers, the owners, and I've gotten excellent feedback from all of them, and that's where it's like, okay, I know it's a smaller company, but I'm confident in the way I do things and the way I'm handling it, and they're loving it. Like they're going as far to say like, please tell us if you are looking elsewhere, what it would take. We will make it happen. That, almost I can almost say.
So you
and
wait
I
a year
quote,
and ask for double.
we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm not gonna push my luck.
I may or may not be looking elsewhere, but if you guys do a little small bump here and there, give me quarter bonus.
I'm gonna need Mondays and Fridays off.
May be okay.
Oh yeah.
Some gift cards to Top Golf every once in a while. Whatever.
We actually have our company where, because we're the headquarters, main location there in Omaha, we have to extend out like our holiday party to get through quarter end, year end, all the extra stuff. So we're having that next Friday, and we're actually doing it at Top Golf.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
So
That's funny. That's good to hear that. I'm glad you're going through. Because I know your cue at parting ways wasn't an attractive thing in your brain.
no,
So
no, it's not even like. I mean, it's not a secret. It's just something I'm not proud of. It was not my decision to leave there.
yeah,
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that was I think that really kind of fueled well, goddamn, maybe I got to shift gears and look something completely different.
Or maybe I'm not the person I thought I was, or whatever you want to call
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
But now you're getting told
something like that
something
happens, and
completely
you start to
different.
kind of question myself, and it's
Right.
like, but
Right.
man, I've played scenarios over and over in my head, and there's so many things that I play out, and I'm like, you know what? I know who I am, and I
James motherfucking Wyant.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But I think back, I even mentioned procrastinating, dragging my feet, and slacking on some grades and stuff in college. Man, I had them years.
Mm-hmm.
I figured some shit out.
Yeah.
I'm different. I'm not that same thing. I know the way that I was conducting myself. I know the way I was doing things. I know that how I was handling my team. I had a team of 15 people. And I'll still like look back at it, and I'm like, okay, maybe this was a shortcoming. Maybe this was a shortcoming. None, in my opinion, and my experience, none of those things were the reason to pull the rug out from under me.
Right. It's probably, at the end of the day, it was probably just cutting positions, probably.
I saw that happen a little bit, but it really had to do with the shift. Some people that came in, and the way that they came in.
Oh, just like a cleaning house type of thing? Or like
I wouldn't even call it that.
Am I going? I don't know how much of this you want to talk about.
I almost feel like it was the person trying to shape something different than what it was.
Got you.
And the timing, and I saw some of the methods about this particular individual, and it was, to me, it was like, I can't sit back and beat myself up too much over it. I'm not going to say that there weren't things that I couldn't have done better, but because
it was probably nothing you did.
I will say that there are things that in some of these shortcomings, I could have had better support from those that I reported to.
Correct.
And if you're gonna remove me from the roster because of that, okay, well, maybe I didn't want to be under you in the first place.
Right.
Yep.
It's better to look at it that way than any other way.
And the worst of it is, this particular individual, like, we were friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like at one point in the company, we were peers, on the same level. And so that's what made it worse. It really kind of felt like being stabbed in the back a little bit.
That's too bad. I don't know if you and I have ever really gone deep into that. So
Probably not.
Some of this is kind of new to me.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like,
it wasn't something we only get to see each other so often. So I'm not gonna be like, hey, tell me this really shitty story you want to tell me.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things. Like I've actually, and I thought about it. I was like, I've had multiple experiences in Omaha where sometimes it feels like just a big small town.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, there's a good probability that I could run into one individual in particular, just even out at the bar or something.
Right.
And I could see them being the type to approach me. And I don't think, at least not for a few years still, I am not the type that's going to be like,
buddy.
hey, let's hash this out.
Hey, let's go have a
talk about
drink
this.
and
No, because I've even got the line in my head of saying like, man, I'd rather at this point still make you eat your teeth than share a drink with you.
Right.
So
Are you taking notes on where you think you hear this?
Yep. Go on. I'm just
making sure what you're doing.
listening. I'm just listening.
Okay,
I
so
thought I was playing with his pecker.
Just so everybody knows, because people have heard it, we've been having some audio issues with the podcast, and him and I tried to deduce some of it last night, and I'm hearing some of the clipping now in the headphones, but I don't know. Hopefully, it's not
Yeah,
going.
I don't know if that's it or if it's just me in my headset.
Yeah, I'm hearing
Sounds-
clipping, but I don't think it's the same clipping as. We'll
Right.
find out.
Right. That's why I'm just doing good.
When you say clipping, is it just like it cuts out for like a?
Just for a split second.
kinda
I've,
like a-
I've had that happen a couple times, but not.
It's kind of like
Not
an
whole.
audio gargle.
Yeah.
Like when it comes back after
Yeah.
post production.
But when we're doing the show, or like when we're recording the show, for some reason there's something happening between the mixer and the computer where it's the
Oh.
mics will just sound like a robot for like 2 words,
Yeah, 2 or 3 words and it'll stop.
and then it's done.
Hmm.
So we were trying to deduce some of that.
So I'm just taking
Am I
notes.
talking too much?
No,
No.
No.
You're probably not talking enough.
yeah.
Don't more-
We
don't
should probably
more.
talk.
That's never
We
a
need
thing
more
with me.
from you.
The whole
need
point of a
more
show like
cowbell.
this is we don't talk.
Yeah, we just
Sure,
listen.
sure. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
It's like an audio book. Like you're doing the talking, we're just doing the listening.
yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you? Is there anything else about your work history or anything that we've discussed already that you want to kind of get into? I know we didn't really touch on your work history a whole lot, but I mean, that's not who you are, right? You're not. It's not all about your job.
No,
It's not. That's not your whole personality. So
definitely not.
nobody
No,
wants
I-
to hear a boring
Accounts
story about accounts payable.
payroll. No,
I just signed your paychecks at the end of the month,
Yeah.
at the end of the week.
it's a thankless job.
Every other Friday, I send the check to you. I hit the send button.
No. I think I probably even went into a little bit more on
No, it's
work
okay.
history than I thought that I might.
Well, I wanted to hear the
Um,
whole thing because I mean, some of those I forgot. I forgot about the shoe store.
Yeah,
I forgot that you worked at US Cellular.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's something we all three share, plus
I
your
get
wife.
that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. I got going with them. That was Cellular Advantage. So it was like
Oh, it was
that
the
contractor
yeah.
thing with US Cellular.
Was that like
so.
the kiosk? Was it like a kiosk
No,
or
no, it was a standalone location, but it was a standalone that had been corporate, but then got switched to Cellular Advantage that was contracted with
Wasn't
US
that
Cellular.
wasn't that prepaid lines? No, it had full.
Full store. There was only
Cell,
there was
Cell
there was,
One was the prepaid, I think.
Oh,
there was
Because
only
that was the kiosk that we had in Norfolk was Cell One.
oh.
there was only a couple things that we actually couldn't do at that location because we weren't corporate. We didn't have like a tech there. Yeah, you weren't there.
I know, but I'm a tech though. I was a tech,
Oh well. Why weren't
so
you,
I wasn't there
why weren't you there?
because you couldn't have me there.
When I was there, we didn't even have a tech anymore. There was no techs.
I know.
We had a window
eliminated the
for it.
position
Like
company-wide.
it was built into the building. There was a
Yeah, well, there's a window,
for it.
but there no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
they boarded
window.
that window.
There was some other like small things like wow, we couldn't do cash payments or I don't know. That doesn't sound right either.
Check only. PayPal.
I don't. You're dirty. Eat an ice cube.
Anyway, okay. So we're gonna get into one more topic, and then we'll kind of let it free reign from there.
Oh, we haven't been going free reign anyway.
No,
We have been,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
but we're still on question topics,
Still on you.
which is fine.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of. I have some future questions that I want to.
Questions about
just-
the future. I love it too.
So you kind of talked about her already a little bit, but how did you meet?
I was moved. I had moved back here. It was my after college time back here in Norfolk, and it was during playing that one year, that one season with the Law Dogs, and she actually had just moved back to Norfolk. She's also originally from Norfolk, and she had just moved back from Joplin, Missouri, because she lost her duplex in the Joplin, Missouri tornado.
Which was devastating.
It's huge.
Just a little bit.
Crazy. Happened on her birthday, May 22nd.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
And it's actually, I want to say that might be more of the reason that she wasn't taken out with it, because like, I mean, it was duplex. She didn't have a
Right,
basement.
nowhere to go.
Actually, if I remember right, Missouri, they something to do with their
I don't think they do basements.
they don't do basements.
Oh,
Yeah. So like, I remember her saying if she had been there, the spot in the duplex that she would have, sought shelter. Like when they found it, like it was crushed. Like
so she wouldn't have
been
been
here.
here.
Yeah. But it was again on her birthday. So I think it was her birthday weekend. She had actually come back here to town or had traveled, and she was on her way back to Joplin. She was a little bit outside of Joplin when this storm hit, and her phone was blowing up. Like, are you okay? Are you okay? And she's like, what are you guys talking about? Like the clouds looked a little rough.
I'm just
but-
driving.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So, but that's a whole different thing with her. But she had moved back home here, and I think a group of her friends had been like, you just got back. Let's go out. Let's just have some fun.
Party.
Yeah. Let's go dancing.
Let's go dancing.
Yeah.
Their
that
pocketbook and shoes and
that
just
the depot?
dance.
Depot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The depot, the depot.
The depot.
That's right. And that so with the Law Dogs, one of the coaches / players was the owner of the depot, and so most all of our like post game parties and stuff like that, we would go to the depot and support that and stuff like that. So we were there and ran into each other, and I want to say it was one of her high school classmates or something was interested in me, but she wouldn't come talk to me. Amanda came and talked to me about like meeting up with them at an after party. And at the time, Amanda was actually more interested in one of my teammates. So just that one just kind of, it was a back and forth. We didn't end up meeting up at that after party. We went to separate after party kind of thing. But then communication between her and I just kind of went back and forth and stuff. And it just kind of turned into like going out on a few dates. I remember the time bringing her around Zach, and I don't remember.
And she's like, "Who's this motherfucker?"
No, you were good shit. And it wasn't that long ago that I had actually gone on a few dates with somebody else and had brought her out with the same people, like Zach, and I can't remember Kai, I think.
Would have had to been you.
Yeah. And oh man, she was just a closed clam. She was quiet, and it was kind of like, oh man, that you're not gonna mesh.
I'm
well
a
with these
pretty
types.
good. What's the word? A lot of people do that when they're meeting somebody new. They'll bring them around me and see how it goes.
Like a good test of character.
There you go.
Test the waters kind of a thing. Yeah.
They'll see how it goes then.
Well, that's just to me. That's the thing. It's like folks might seek you out because it's like you would be a good test about it. And it's like this is my best friend. We're hanging out anyway. This is my personality. Like Zach and I our personalities are like complementing each other and working together and being the hype of the night all the time. You gotta mesh well with this, or honey, this ain't happening. And that one gal I brought around, it was like, are you mute? Are you deaf? Like, do you find humor in anything? Go wait in the car.
Yeah, if you don't fight to get a word in when you're around us, it's then you're probably it's just not going to work out.
Yeah. It's not.
You may as well be a mime at that point.
Yeah. So it wasn't that long later, that her and I went on a date, maybe a couple dates, but then I brought her around with you, and oh man, she fell right in because she's an outgoing personality. She's she's funny, got, all the things, like, just, it was great. And especially because it was recently that I had brought someone that was just a total crash and burn. Are you really going to pour another one?
I'm gonna pour a little bit more, just a little bit.
Hell yes.
It was good.
I would take some of that if I could.
A little dabble,
A little dribble drabs.
another finger or two.
Yeah.
Just put a little bit in mine, so I let my water melt.
Your water melted?
I let my ice melt. Did you want a little more?
Sure.
I was looking at the water, thinking water.
I don't need the reasons of why you said what you said. I like what you said.
Okay, so where were you going with that? Fell in right with us.
Yeah, and that was a tell for me early on. Like, oh man, she's good shit. So kept dating and actually like made it official kind of a thing. And we were still dating when she let me know that she got into the nursing program in Omaha, and she was actually pretty nervous to tell me because she was like, I don't know. It's like how this guy is going to feel about it. Is it going to be like, congratulations and
See ya.
want to follow, or be like, well, I guess I'm out. I was like, no, we're solid enough. I want to keep pursuing this. If you want to keep pursuing this, unless you want to dump me and go to Omaha and find some strange. I don't know. But
Doctor?
yeah.
Doctor Strange?
No, not quite.
Not Steven? Okay.
Not Steven. No. So yeah, then I kind of figured out how to get moved down to Omaha, and it really wasn't that long after being moved down there that proposed. It was actually a birthday trip that we took for my birthday in Chicago. Went to Chicago. She'd been to Chicago. I never had. And I proposed in Chicago. And
That's really cool.
yeah, and I didn't even think about that. Like, I just thought like it was kind of an event that we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But then some guys had said like, you proposed to her on your birthday, not her birthday, not Valentine's. You did it on your birthday? Like, oh, that's classy. And I was like, oh, I guess that actually wasn't my goal. You think what you want. That's cool. I feel like I didn't do something classless.
Right.
But no, it was just.
Sometimes you got to do it in the moment, right? You were taking a trip for your birthday, but you were in a whole new place. It was a new thing. Wasn't expected.
Yeah. Oh, from her? Maybe a little, because we had
Because you're bad at secrets, or?
No. Because I was not about to drop the kind of money that some jewelry costs,
Mm-hmm.
and her not like it. So it wasn't immediately before that trip, but we knew that we were serious enough.
Mm-hmm.
We had gone, and actually I wanted her to kind of have like, or at least give myself an idea of what she was interested in when it came to an engagement and a wedding ring kind of thing. So, and I'm glad I did. Still glad to this day, because she still talks about how she loves the ring, that she wears every day.
That she picked.
Practically, yeah. I mean, and you better. But that was the kind of thing. Like, it wasn't. It didn't take necessarily the surprise away from it. To an extent, like, obviously at some point she probably knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But she was very surprised, and we've talked about that before too. Like, she was not expecting that to happen on that trip. So, yeah,
That's good.
yeah. And that was, so then we got married. It was October 2014 is when we got
Been
married.
that long ago? Holy cow!
Yep, we just last year we hit the decade.
When did you guys get married?
Okay.
I might have put him on the spot.
I want to say coming up in April will be 13 years,
Okay.
give or take.
I waited a while.
It's a little bit of a buffer for me because of my instance, because we waited so long to get married.
Yeah.
So when you say
Did you guys have a long engagement? I don't really remember.
not really a long engagement,
was
we
Well,
just-
they were
I was
in
there
the
when you got
dating
engaged.
scene
they've been
for-
dating since high school.
So we waited
that's
a long time.
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, you guys. I mean, you guys
we
sorted.
got-
You
we
guys
got
sorted
almost-
stuff out, and that's what I always kind of thought with Zach too. It's like, sorted a lot of things
2
out.
decades
Poopy.
We're
being
old.
together.
We're old.
It's weird when we start
So
talking years.
when you say
But you
how long
guys
you've
have
been
been
married,
you guys
then
have
I got to think a little more. Like,
you guys have been
this,
together
and we take
since
half of this.
05?
Mhm.
Because right, it was no, it was our senior year, so 06.
It was our senior year, but it would have been her junior year,
Yeah, but it was been 06.
06. So like I said, it would have been
Depends. You know, we graduated. We graduated at the end of our, the end of our senior year was 06.
It was
the
towards
start
the-
of our senior
It
year.
was towards the end of the year because it was like it was nice out.
it was May.
It's nice
Yeah.
out.
I remember the whole thing.
Nice.
I remember the whole thing.
Tell me about it.
We
Tell me
had
about
a
it.
night. It was a poker night we had at my house. He had come, and
I came to
You
his
came?
house.
he came.
I came to his
And the girl I was dating at the time was good friends with Ashley.
Right.
And so Ashley was there. And then we get down there, we leaves, and him and I are still hanging out. And he goes to leave, and he's like, "Hey, who's that girl?" And I was like, "Well, it was Ashley." I was like, "Can
What-
you?"
What a
Can you
nutless,
set it up
Sure.
for the next
what a
poker night?
nutless piece
Yeah,
of
he's
shit.
like,
He
"When's the
didn't
next
even ask
poker
her
night?"
name there.
Yeah.
He waited
Well,
till she
there-
was gone.
To be seen, I was playing poker. Yeah, it was poker.
Callie?
I was playing poker.
So I still to this day will say, "Oh, I set them up."
but there
I
was,
know.
but there was like what 8 to 10 of us down there playing
There's
poker.
quite a few.
So
It was
wasn't
it was
like-
one of the bigger poker nights, and they were the girls were only there for like an hour,
like an
maybe.
hour and a half.
Hanging
So she
out.
was already done gone by the time I even got done. So you can
Yeah.
shut your mouth.
But so yeah, but I can't. That's wow. We're coming up on basically 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking wild. Wild.
It is wild.
So then you guys got married.
Yeah. We did that.
That was a good time.
It's fun. It was a good time. Yeah.
What made you think she was the one?
I mean, one of the first things that kind of comes to mind, I not that I put that much weight of marrying someone, of just the way the interaction happened when I brought her around you and that stuff, but like because I already knew her on a certain level, and it's like just the humor.
She's a very funny individual,
Yeah.
and she has a very good sense of humor.
Humor.
Mhm.
She's kind. She's smart. She's always like trying to learn more. She is a true lifelong learner. Like when it comes to her
Quick-witted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
I was gonna say, yeah.
can take a joke.
If you think that you're
There's-
quick-witted and you try to jab a joke at her, she
Good luck.
snaps one back at you and you're like, damn,
That's why I
had her and
love her
I
to death
couldn't
for
do
that,
it, and-
because her and I can go back and forth for like
Uh-huh.
a good 6 or 7 slapbacks, and not too many people can do that
Yeah. That's there's just
and not get offended.
to me, like she just really is the full package for me, like on an intellectual level, and there's all the stuff. And then bringing her around friends and just that kind of experience was like, especially after having somebody that was like, oh, when I was around that other gal that I had gone on a few dates with, I was like, yeah, she's cool. I get along with her. This is, we had some humor. We had all these different things.
What's wild is I don't even remember who that was. You don't even got to say right now. You can tell
That's
me
fine.
later. But
That's fine.
I don't even remember who that was.
Not even a flash in the pan kind of a thing. She was a fart in the wind. But just the way it was just all the stuff, and it was like I could see the future with her. I could see that actually being something. And now, coming up, going to be 11 years married this year, and then a few years before that dating. I wasn't wrong in the
Right.
in the type of woman, the type of mother, the type of spouse that she was going to be.
All your visions came true.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I hope for the most part that I've I've met her
Complimented that
expectations
back.
too. Yeah, it's one of the wonderments. No, it was just all the things. It just all kind of came together. It made it one of the easiest decisions to actually I want to talk to her dad and ask for his only daughter's hand in marriage. Kind of
How did
thing.
that go?
I paid my pants. It's funny because her dad he's such a kind-hearted, approachable individual, just a wise guy. Like actually wisdom, not like a wise guy,
He's
you
a
know,
wise
like
guy.
yeah. But no, he is
He's gonna
just
shoot me when I walk in the door.
he's a great human being, and so I came back with the plan and the idea, and he's a big golfer. Later in life, he's really gotten into golf, and so it was like,
So you took him putt.
yeah, yep. I took him putting. Now we went out golfing, and the thought was that I was going to ask him while on the course, but I was chicken shit. I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this. So you know,
So you texted him.
no. Yeah, we got home. I was like, hey, BT Dub.
I forgot to ask this.
Oh,
of
I forgot
course,
to
but
ask you.
There was the really important thing
You just
that
had
I
to
wanted to
you had
ask.
the cart girl write the note out and then give him on his drink. And be like,
No, I remember we drove in his vehicle. So I was in the passenger seat. It was after we had left the golf course. It was on the drive back, and we were just over in Battle Creek at Kelly's, but it was in the drive back, and it was kind of like okay, Jim, it's kind of now or never. You didn't do it on the golf course where it is going to turn into a text situation, or it's going to be like,
Can we hang out
be
again?
be like, how'd it go? Oh, I got scared.
I got clammy.
But no, it was like I brought it up and I said, Don, I think it's very well known that I'm very much in love with your daughter. I remember that was kind of my opening, and then I blacked out. But it was something, you know, it's like I was hoping that, you know, I'm gonna ask for her hand in marriage and get yours, and I don't know if I said yours and your wife's blessing or how I said it. And there was a slight pause after I said what I said, and his pause, and oh my gosh, the feelings and the thoughts that were rushing through my head.
Everything just sunk.
I mean, it felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
But it was probably only like 2 or 3 seconds kind of a thing. Because I mean, I just slapped him with some shit.
Right.
All right.
Right.
I just hit you with some serious stuff. And I mean, obviously I shouldn't have expected him to fire back immediately. But in that brief period of time, I was kind of like, oh my God, what is he gonna say? Is he gonna like pull the car over and tell me to get out on 275?
You're walking home.
You're
Come on, old yeller.
or just like he's gonna veer off, he said something like, I remember what he said better than what I said, but it was something like, you know, as a parent, you always want what's best for your kids. And I feel like if I tell you that you have my blessing, I feel like I'm doing that for my daughter. Like I'm giving her.
What a good feeling.
Yeah. So it felt really good, and I think that was one of the coolest answers he gave me.
Such
And
a
it was
wise
like,
guy.
It was the pause was worth it. You know, the kind of the roller coaster that I went through in those few seconds. Like, oh my God,
That's why he did it. He did it because he knew.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I should ask him sometime. It's like, do you?
I've been rehearsing that since she was 6.
he's like,
hot tub time machine.
I gotta click that thing
Why
off
did you
like
go
that.
cheat on? Why are you calling my 60-year-old dog?
That's funny. That's a cool story though. Not many people get, you know, crazy good stories like that. When
I don't think I've even ever told anybody that. I might have said, I don't
Well,
even
now
know
you're
that
telling the 5 people that are going to listen to this.
Yep.
There's probably 7.
Might be 7.
Maybe.
Might be 7.
Nah. Yeah, I always thought that one was kind of cool. Again, like I'm not even sure if I told Amanda those details.
Oh shoot. Maybe you better tell her before this comes out.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, this would be kind
She
of.
probably won't even listen.
She'll
She's
be
like,
one of
no,
the 7
she-
that listens
I already
to it.
know about my husband.
Yeah, probably will. She'd be like, you telling me that he's the main focus of this however long podcast? I gotta listen to that stupid guy all the time ranting about whiskey, ranting about fishing.
Turns out we
talking
didn't
about all
talk
kinds of
about
stuff.
whiskey or fishing too much.
We haven't
because I'm probably not going to want to do that.
no.
So you can tell her that.
It's on the cabin at Columbus.
Yeah, if you want to go talk fishing, you should go to the Talking Dirt podcast. They'll talk all about fishing.
yeah.
With you.
I can't even talk about that stuff as much. I don't get out and do that as much anymore. You know, we probably all can agree that like bring kids into the picture and some
That's
of
the
those
next
things.
question, actually.
Oh boy.
So, how did you guys decide to go down the path for children?
That was something we had definitely discussed even before like I had proposed and stuff. So, you know, early times in dating kind of not like it was we were at an age where we needed to figure that out on the first date. Well, what's your expectations?
Nowadays, sometimes I do that. Like, if some people don't want to go down that path if the other person doesn't ever want kids.
Yeah, and as somebody at my age, like depending on what age they might be dating, I don't blame them for checking into that. Like, I understand that could scare some folks off.
Yeah.
Scare a lot of folks off.
Right.
But if this is a true goal in life, you maybe do need to kind of see where that potential partner sits on it. Because, yeah, some people change their minds. Some people are a little more open to the idea of like, well, I don't really know. But then you got some people who are like,
they're straight.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want kids. Or
Don't
then
want kids.
you got like somebody that's like, yes, I want to have kids. I want to start having kids immediately, and I want to have 5. Or
Right.
who knows?
Right.
So
and then you get those people that want to be like, I want to be done having kids by the age of 30.
Right.
right,
You know what I mean?
you got
Like,
all you got all your
three
you got
kids
all
by
your
the age
little
of 30.
factors that
You know,
fall in.
whatever
So
random
Yep.
stuff it is. But
depending on the age and stuff of folks dating, like I think it's not maybe it's a little risque for a first date question, but honestly, you get to a certain age and you're just like, I'm not gonna waste my time. Like I'm out here for a reason.
I'm out in these streets.
Out in these streets, slanging that strange.
Right. So how did that change your life? How did Rowan change your life?
Well, he made me a father.
Well,
sorry.
we're still the verdict's still out on that, right? Or no?
No. He's totally mine. Man, I had.
You've been talking about all this strange, so I didn't know if that was a thing you guys did.
I don't know why I've been saying. I think I've dropped that at least twice on this.
It's been 4 times.
it's been 4 times. We have a towel right up there. Can you see it on top right of the screen?
I don't say that much, but I just keep defaulting to that. Strange. But he was. I mean, it was planned. That was kind of like it was the idea of like let's actually trying to have kids. But I remember when he was a baby being at Walmart one time, and Amanda ran over to a different aisle, and he was sitting in the cart with me, and we were on like a separate spot, and it was like the main path was the walkthrough, and it was an older couple that comes by, and she like stops and kind of looks at him. She's like, "Oh, you ain't denying that boy." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, he definitely looks like me." I feel like we were very much the type of parents that, as first-time parents, we were super concerned with everything, trying to be in control of so many things. You know, everything was so regimented, and he was a tough sleeper, was a thing. Him with just bedtime and naps and stuff like that. That was one thing where it's like we felt very rigid with that kind of a thing, and I think that carried over, accompanied by us being first-time parents. I wouldn't call us total helicopter parents with the whole thing, but we've definitely been able to tell the difference of like first kid to second kid to now third kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I know her parents given us crap a few times. Her dad would love to be like back when we had, you know, we'd have the baby monitor on him, and we did the owlet, the sleep sock on the foot to be monitoring the heart rate at night, and all these different things and whatnot. And he's just like, man, I don't know how we kept you kids alive without all this technology.
Yep.
And it was, I mean, now that we've on to our third, and we're like, yeah, I get it. We're maybe a little
we don't need
crazy,
that. You know, we don't need this. You know, I mean, even with that, I mean, listening to like the first one was kind of like how you said, like you want to play everything by the book, and you want to do like bedtime. Like you want to try to get them a bedtime oriented, at a certain time or whatever. And then, if somebody's sick, yeah, you can't come over. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you want to keep them restricted as far as much. Second one, by that time you're just like, yeah, we're just gonna go with the flow. See
Yeah.
what happens. Like somebody's sick, yeah, we'll bring them over and see what happens. Or
Yeah.
like bedtime midnight. Like whatever. Let's see what happens.
So we had our goal. We knew, being an only child, I was like, I always thought it'd been cool to have siblings. So when we had the discussion of like, well, how many kids do we want? My thoughts were like, well, I think it'd be cool to have at least more than one. Have at least two. She has an older brother, so she's just got the one sibling, and so she had kind of thought like it'd be kind of cool to have three. So because I was a little bit more loose with like, well, I'd be okay with multiples. Three was kind of the number that we had settled on, and then the goal was to try and maybe have them 2 years apart was kind of the thing. And with Rowan and then Riker, so Rowan is 6, Riker's 4. We met that, and then we didn't get pregnant, the same kind of time frame when it came with Parker. And so now Parker, he is going to be a year old in kind of May 18th. So we've kind of now like spanned it from, Riker's 4. Now we got the 1-year-old. So it's like that 2-year thing didn't quite happen, but
Close.
I mean, that's just,
Close,
it's really not too far off.
Yeah.
But, one of our things that we said would be really kind of cool if we did kind of keep them that 2 years apart was we will never have actually reached the point of fully putting baby gates away, fully doing all this stuff and putting it away just to get it back out.
Right.
If we had kept them at that like 2-year thing. And so when that didn't happen, yes, we had baby gates away. So we've had to get all these things out.
Right.
And I can't even believe, like, when it comes to how we used to be particular about certain toys lying around and stuff, it's like, oh, don't touch that. Like that's Rowan. You got to pick that up. That's too small for Riker. Parker's playing with toys that like would have given us a conniption before.
Yeah.
He's probably already been playing with lighters and he's doing the whole thing.
Crack pipes, everything.
Rubbing his finger with electrical outlets, just like
Yeah.
He just testing everything. It's but that's sort of the other thing. Like, it's just that reassurance. Like, of course, there's still certain toys like Legos don't come out, that kind of a stuff.
Right.
There's certain things that we're still watching out for, but he has got 2 older brothers that are playing with some of these bigger action figures and stuff, and it's like that's what he wants to play with. So that's what he's going and kind of messing around with. He's not wild and crazy. He's not swinging it around and going to jab himself in the eye. That stuff's kind of clear now. And it's just one of those things like, man, it really, until you go through it, until you know it, it's tough to just say like, hey, you can ease back on the reins a little bit. But until you go through it, like you don't know that necessarily. So,
right.
Yeah.
How did all that change you as a person? Kids in general.
It's one of those things where it's probably, I don't know if it's cliche or if it's probably how a lot of fathers feel, but it's like it's even different than just now I'm married, now I have a wife, now I'm not just one person. Like, I have to live my life. I have to provide for my family. I am not just living for myself. To me, it's different because, you have a spouse, they're capable of their own income. They're capable of all these things. They've come up the way you have, but you've got these children, these young minds, these people that you're trying to mold into good human beings, not assholes.
So not like you.
Yeah. So I'm trying to kind of play things a little differently than myself. But so I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like you're living for something much bigger.
So for me, I started seeing my own mortality more. There were certain things that would scare me that never used to.
Sure.
One thing that I saw for sure was getting on the roof.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah,
I feel like
I
I
always go back to that story because it literally was like a complete switch. The year before, I was up on the roof, walking on the roof with the leaf blower, blowing leaves out the gutter, ran up the ladder, jumped up there. And then the year later, after Christian was born, I got up there and I was like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. You reassess
Or 2 years
risk
later,
differently.
whatever it was. But
yeah, you look at risk differently. I mean, the combination of getting older and knowing your limitations, along with like, if I do something like this, depending on what the risk might be, what the cost could be, like I'm not just affecting the spouse or myself. Like I've got children, and so yeah, I think that's something big, and it's always one of those things too. Like I've had multiple realizations coming up through of like me being a kid and the way my parents handled things or did things, and kind of realizing like, well, now I get it. I actually get it. You know, it's not just one of those things where it's like someday you'll understand. It's like it kind of slapped me in the face of a few things like, oh, yeah, that makes more sense. You know, you were always just looking out for me, or that was in my best interest, even though it felt awful doing it this way or what have you. But yeah, the whole risk thing of like not getting up on the roof, or you know, I had a motorcycle when I was here in Norfolk, and I never took it to Omaha, mostly because I was a little bit of a pansy first moving to Omaha. I was actually pretty nervous moving to Omaha, just between the traffic, not knowing how to get around and stuff. Like obviously I've been there over a decade now. Now I got no problem with it. I still think it's terrifying to think of my children learning how to drive on some of those roads and stuff, but it's also, it's not, I'm accustomed to it a little bit more, and it's all they're going to know. Like it's kind of relevant to your own surroundings, your own background, that kind of thing.
I almost like it better to an extent. Because I and we talked about this earlier today, we're throwing people into the situation.
Right.
Not
don't shield them
shielding from things.
Yep.
I think
we did say that.
I think learning in Omaha would be a good thing, because there are people that are from here that will not drive in Omaha at all.
Yeah,
they're scared.
My mother.
Well, there you go.
My mother has told us, and she says it as a joke, but I actually think there is a little more than a hint of truth to it, that if we were to move, she would be done coming to Omaha, because she's got the route very well figured out how to get to our house.
Yeah.
She doesn't really want to relearn a new route.
Right.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
She'll do anything to get to the grandkids.
She would figure it out. She would, and then that's the thing.
Screw you.
Just find the easiest path.
It's the grandkids.
It's only 7 turns, Grandma, to get there.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Or 15
And
turns.
that's the thing, though, too. Like my dad, you know, I mean, that's not a concern of his whatsoever.
He's kind of been a professional driver his whole life, though.
He has for a lot of things, yeah.
So
one of the last like kind of like jobs that he took on out of retirement was driving bus.
Yeah,
driving,
and that's putting lives in your hands.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The responsibility and the vast difference of driving such a big rig in some of those things. Like it's funny because we'll talk, you know, about something going on in Omaha, and he'll reminisce and be like, "Oh, that's an awful spot to take a bus." He'll say stuff like, you know, it's like that particular location that is not designed for anything to come through. And it was often the schools and stuff for the athletics and stuff. And it's like, no, they don't take that into account, Dad.
Well, it's just like with me, with like being like an ex-FedEx driver.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we'll go to San Diego. Well, like the last time we were in San Diego and we were walking downtown, and I see the FedEx truck just pull up on the busy road and just park and hop out. And I'm like, I probably would not park there. I probably would have parked 50 feet back and try to wedge myself in that little empty spot right there, and then hop out and then run an extra 50 yards to do it. But at least I know that my truck's out of the way instead of being in the middle of the lane,
blocking it all,
throwing the hazards on and being like, okay, now you got to go around me.
Yeah.
But you only have 30 feet after you go around me to cut back in my lane and then turn. Like little bit of common sense for everybody else, but whatever. I understand his point. It's coming back out.
But some people don't think about other people.
Right.
He was worried about himself and what he had to do.
He just wanted to get his job done and over with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're just paid off of packages and over done. So I can understand
Right.
like going fast and just park, done, hop out,
Right.
go. So
I don't want to brush over the kids too fast. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the kids and any kind of parenting styles, or we can always have you back on? I think we're gonna have to have you back on because it's just the way this is going. It's gonna have to happen.
Yeah.
What is that?
Port dose.
What is it? Is that good or bad?
It's a good thing.
Like,
That means
didn't-
that
didn't
I
know
don't
if we were
feel
taking too long.
we're
or
not
something.
done. No, we're not taking too long. We are
All
going.
right.
We are going longer.
Expected.
Not than expected. We're just going longer. So I think we're gonna have to have another one at some point. To
We just put the main portions out of the way, and then part dose would be free range.
yeah, we'll do a little free range today too. But
Sure.
I also don't want to go because we're
What are we at?
2
we're
hours.
at 2 hours and 15 minutes,
2:15. Okay.
and I don't want to go over 3. So
Sure.
and we have a
Yeah.
lot to get through still.
Oh, of you. Of,
Just
of-
in
yeah.
just in general.
Okay.
We have a game we play at the end, and there's a couple other things I want to get through.
A game.
Yeah.
Mhm. You got
So-
to find a mispainted spot on that wall.
So we're definitely we're definitely bringing you back on because
Sounds
there's a
good.
lot of other things I want to talk about more. You and I stuff and
Yeah.
a lot of things like that.
Absolutely.
But I don't want to brush over the kids.
No.
So if there's something else,
nothing in
or
particular.
even brush over Amanda, because that's a big part of your life. Those two things are a huge part of
They're
your life.
About the
And
largest. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't want to brush over it.
No. There's nothing in particular that I really want to.
Okay. We can always have like a dad podcast too, where we talk about just being a dad.
Sure.
Mm.
Oh yeah. That'll
Yeah.
fill some time.
That'll be fun.
Spend half a day.
Yeah. So if you could go back and tell yourself one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
This might slightly contradict what I said earlier with the regrets and stuff, kind of a thing. But I really think I would probably just say, just go for it, give it your all,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll know.
It's good.
I blanket statement for anything that it's like, should I do this? That kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
just that statement, like just go for it. Cause that's, it wasn't that long ago. Like, my current business, that I'm in, I've got technicians that are young. I've got a wide range of ages of technicians that work on elevators. And I've got a guy, he's still living at home, not too far removed, probably from high school kind of a thing. And he's come a few times and just talked to me about a few different things. And that was something that came up that I told him. And I was like, man, go after as many experiences as you can. You're not gonna love every single one of them. And I'm not telling you like, oh, you got a shot doing heroin? Go try that heroin. Just give that a shot. No. It's just simply like you got different opportunities and things like that. Like, I don't necessarily need to be a spark plug and not have drive and focus on a particular goal, but like take in those experiences, put them under your belt, learn some things,
Mm-hmm.
be a well-rounded human.
Yeah.
I think there's a few things in my life that I wish that I had maybe given more focus to, or actually gone the extra mile, actually tried, where even if it hadn't panned out, I don't think it would have completely changed the trajectory of my life, but I'd be better for it. So I think that's probably something I would say.
I like that outlook. That's kind of how I try to live my life now. I maybe didn't do it before, but that's definitely how I do it now.
And that's I feel like, again, this kind of ties into almost like as you said, after having children, you kind of balance some of those risks and different things that you might go chasing and try. But I too try to think about that a little bit, like give this a go. They maybe not be as extreme as they used to be back in the day. Kind of have that same outlook.
That's good.
So,
I like that answer.
Mhm.
Really good. Did you? So that's kind of the ending portion. Is there? I know you were excited to maybe tell some stories or something. Is there any stories that you wanted to discuss or talk about, or do you want to save that for a whole nother podcast? Because we're kind of at the end of like the portion that I was gonna maybe ask you questions, and we're maybe in free range a little bit. I just don't know how much we're gonna be able to free range to keep it within the time frame.
yeah. I don't have any burning stories that I really want to get out or anything like that.
No embarrassing ones you want to even tell about me?
Oh gosh,
that are PG-ish,
PG-ish.
maybe PG-13.
I just remember you. Embarrassing stories of you. I got two.
I'm sure people want to hear them, but
I got two that come to mind that probably.
I should have prerequisited these.
You
See
should
if
have
I was,
first
see if I was
before-
okay with it.
before going there.
You didn't vet these out at all.
No, I didn't vet them out
But
at all.
honestly, the two that are coming to mind, they're not too wild.
Okay.
Because I do have some others in my mind that
I'll
I'm
trust
like,
you.
oh, that's probably not.
I'll
probably
trust
not
you.
for here. Both of them do involve some early days of drinking.
Okay.
But-
I think I know where you're going.
I'm sure you know one of them.
Yeah.
And the one would probably have been at when we stayed the night over at
Yep.
Calvin's apartment, and you were still fairly new to drinking.
And what were we drinking that evening?
Oh, I want to say those were probably Smirnoff Ices.
Correct. They were Smirnoff
Yeah.
Ices, because those
Because
are
at
so
that
good for
time-
your gut.
Yeah, all that sugar, just a
Yeah,
sugar
just
bomb,
a sugar
just
bomb.
a sugar bomb.
Now they
And
make these zero sugar ones. Probably would have been fine.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to test that out.
No,
on the next show. Just get a case
No.
of zero sugar ones.
I will not be drinking any Smirnoffs ever in my life again because of this story.
Oh, it was at a time that, it was early on with drinking and stuff because you just hadn't really done that much. But this would have been once we were in college.
Yes, I never drank in high school
Right.
because I never really had time.
Right.
I was always in a sport or
Sport or whatever. Kind of straight and narrow too. Like that was the thing.
Yeah.
It was like, I didn't drink much in high school either.
Mhm.
I think I attended a couple parties, but I didn't get drunk.
Mhm.
It wasn't until graduating high school. I know the first time I got drunk. It was wild. But you didn't like the taste of beer.
Mm-mm.
You were not a fan of beer
Mm-mm.
at all.
No.
At all. And so it was
Tasted like wet bread.
wet bread.
Dirty wet bread
Dirty wet bread. I like that.
at the time.
Um,
And now I like it.
Must have been yeast.
Yeasty.
It's a little bit yeasty.
So Smirnoff Ices it was. That or Bacardi Raz. I remember some of those Bacardi, like, any of them. Basically, it was like a wine cooler, but
Yeah.
they didn't call them that anymore. They had kind of switched to, you malt liquor.
Malt liquor.
Whatever. But that was kind of what you made the whole night of. And I remember there were multiple people that just kind of crashed there, found a spot on the couch, found a spot on the floor, whatever, us included. And you woke me up. I'm laying on the floor, like a random just spot on the floor. It's like, it was better than just trying to drive somewhere or something. So, kudos for us for not being stupid like that.
Kudos. Cheers for that.
Cheers for that. But yeah, you woke me up. And you are also a human being that, you remind me of Jackie Moon from Semi Pros. Like, I've never thrown up in my life. My mother said I was a prodigy, or whatever, it was like a marvel. They couldn't believe it. I'd never thrown up. So you didn't get sick much growing up or any of that. You didn't really puke much. You didn't have much experience with vomiting. And you wake me up saying that your tummy hurts and you feel awful. And it was like, and I'm just like, go throw up or something. Just figure it out. I mean, I wasn't being very logical because I was just, woken from my slumber. And I was probably not feeling great either. But you're just, I'm going to get sick. And it's like, okay, so get sick. And so we go out onto the balcony and still kind of arguing about it. And you're just like, I'm gonna get sick. And you're mad at me about you getting sick.
It was your fault.
It was my fault. It was clearly my fault. And that kind of ties into the other story I've got. But I finally was just like, then just get sick. And you turned and you projectile vomited. I think we dubbed it the dragon.
Yeah.
Projectile vomited, and it went over and touched the siding of the next apartment complex, which like it wasn't super far, but it wasn't super close.
It was in that
It was,
medium
it
range.
was it was a feat.
Like you weren't jumping to it.
It
I
was
don't think.
it was an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And it was in that moment that I was actually grateful that he woke me up because I got to witness that. So, and he felt much better. I think we both felt really good about that. It was kind of like, I mean, he probably was in like disbelief as it's still, leaving his body.
Leave me, Damon.
Leave my body. Yeah. So, and the other one involves drinking. It was at Colt's Lake House. I don't think that you had come down to Kearney yet as like full time. You might have been around there.
No,
but we had.
if this was the first time at the lake house. No, was this when I brought Van?
I don't know if it was when Van was there. It could have been. It definitely could have been.
I actually don't know where this story's going.
I had enough experiences out at Colt's. I mean, that was actually one of the houses. I think the house he grew up in. So it's like I call it the lake house simply because by definition it was
It's
a house
on a
on a
lake.
lake.
Right.
But it wasn't like a vacation home or anything. It was cool. He had us out there multiple times, and it was just a fun time to be out there and stay the night, whatever. Always involved drinking, of course. But Zach had gotten intoxicated. I think we all were, but he had reached a point where he was upset. Just and like
That's never happened before.
not upset like angry, but like upset like shook. Like
why did you make me drink this much?
Like a weeping willow.
Like weeping.
Yeah.
And he was, oh man, I'm trying to even piece the little details of the story right now, and I'm kind of coming up short. But
Is that the night we took pulls off the Jack bottle or
Sure.
gin bottle?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, that's why.
yeah. That we might have actually been there. I think that might have been a birthday thing for me.
Could have been.
I think because I think Van was there. We wedged a like candlestick in the Jim Beam bottle after it was done, after
Because
everybody had taken
3 or
turns.
4 of us finished them
Oh,
in the matter of
taking pulls and passed it around.
Yeah.
Colt
Not a good idea.
Colt blacked out. He was notorious at some points for doing a full blackout, and I hate that. But Zach's upstairs in the bedroom, just pissed off as shit at a bag of sour cream potato chips. Just like, I just remember he was eating chips. It was like chip crumbs. It was up in the spare bedroom, and then he was getting sick. But this time, he had been sick before, so he made it to the guest bathroom right there. But he was crying, and I remember being like, "This was the line. This is the whole thing that I remember being like." Why are you crying? And you're like, I don't know. But while the tears are pouring down, I don't know. Like, we joke about that a few times. But, so I was like, how am I the one that's actually still like going around and trying to keep things kind of intact? Colt's literally gone. He's gone. Like you can't even communicate to him in English. And Zach's up here crying over a bag of potato chips and the toilet. But no, so those aren't too.
There's some stories for you guys that you guys keep asking for.
I got many more, but they some are a little more.
Yeah, we'll vet those, and then we'll have a whole nother podcast.
Yeah,
on
maybe
those.
we're probably gonna have to have a list.
We'll have to vet them.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. So let's get into kind of how we end the show a little bit. We ask a few questions, and then we play a little game.
Okay.
You think it's all right? I'm getting a lot of clipping now on my headset anyway.
See,
229.
I'm not.
Okay. We'll check it afterwards and see.
I'm not.
It's okay. So these are kind of our federal questions. So now that the election's over, what are you most looking forward going into the next 4 years? Most looking forward to?
Feeling like the American people are put first. And I think that we're only March after starting from January 20th. We're only here in March, and I've already got that feeling
Mhm.
a lot,
Winning.
winning. Well, that's like,
I hate calling it that,
you
but
can see
yeah,
my
I see
shirt.
that.
in the-
I see
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
I love this shirt. And I remember back when he was president the other time, and it was like, you almost kind of got to be careful some of the Trump stuff you wear and stuff. And it's like, just because it just felt a little abrasive to the population. But yet now it's like, no, I saw the polls. I saw the numbers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the majority.
Yep.
So I am feeling great again.
Yeah.
But I just feel like actually having somebody with a backbone taking over,
Mhm.
sticking up for America, sticking up for the people. I don't buy into any of the rhetoric of just the rich, all the stuff with him. I'm not gonna say like I worship the ground that Trump walks on.
Nor should we. And we
No.
talk about that on our other podcast a lot.
Yeah, like
Right.
We will call his stuff that we think he's doing wrong out.
absolutely.
Whereas
And you should.
Whereas the previous 4 years was, it could do no wrong, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. We've already called Trump out on some of the stuff. Like, no, we're not going to be giving out $5,000 checks. Don't put that money towards the debt. Do something else with it.
Right.
Put it towards.
Yeah.
If
Give it only to people that have paid in for taxes. It doesn't go to everyone.
If anything, that's one of the things. It's like, well, you gotta do something for the people to try to get them to be a little more on your side, because you've still got so many outspoken lefts that like, this man is the devil. He's Nazi, all this stuff, and it's like now it's doing a little more.
That's all right.
So yeah, it's like throwing that out there to try and maybe shut them up. But as somebody that's like, I don't care, let them whine. No, you use all those funds for good.
Yeah.
Because you're exposing all the crap that it got used over the last 4 years for stupid stuff,
Right.
like foreign, stupid,
Right.
transgender stuff. Like, are you kidding me? So
then at the end of the day, do you think that the administration coming in will actually be able to accomplish all they have set out to do?
I think that they will go after it as much as they said that they will.
100%.
The reason that it doesn't is because the opposition cannot back down.
They'll be in the way.
They will. That is the only reason I feel like that stuff will not get accomplished, is because they cannot love the American people more than they hate Trump.
Yeah. 100%. Now we're going to play a game called Would You Rather.
Ooh.
This is a good game.
Ever
I like
played?
this game?
I have. I have.
Okay. And these are all new to you. Same as last week. If you guys listened last week, so the same for Bias. But since you guys are coming on, these were really good questions. So I may not answer, but I want you guys to answer.
But the key is that you answer first.
Yeah, you have to answer first.
All right.
Would you rather always feel understood or always feel appreciated?
That's more intellectual than I expected to be thrown a little
Sorry
bit.
to
No,
end
it's a good one.
End it
Nice.
intellectually.
Surprise.
It's a good one.
Surprise, motherfucker!
I almost have a hard time telling the difference between the two.
Got to pick one though. So
Yeah.
don't think about it too long.
I already am, I think.
That's kind of the key on these. Kind of either go with your gut or,
I'm gonna.
because I'm also going to ask you why.
I'm gonna. Well, I was just gonna even dive into that, but so I think I would want to feel appreciated.
Really?
I think so,
Okay. Why?
because there's certain things that I've done and really kind of put myself into and didn't feel appreciated with them when I myself had a lot of confidence and knew the way that I did them met the expectations or exceeded, and it benefited many people, it benefited certain things, and it didn't feel like there was even an appreciation for the effort, the outcome, the stuff like that, to where I think having that feeling and or having that lack of that feeling of feeling the appreciated on certain things is kind of what's driving this answer. I will preface already that like I had a hard time.
I see that.
So, but because I have thoughts and answers for the opposite
So,
side.
so with this being the second time we've done this, the first time was with Bia on here.
Bia.
We, Vance and I understood. She went with appreciated. So at the time we were kind of thinking this might be one of those gender role questions.
Oh,
But then you said appreciated, and I'm like, well, maybe we'll hear this out.
it really is because I've got like specific examples in my mind of the appreciated thing.
Right.
And I've even had like some conversations around that kind of a thing. But that's where I struggled. It was like I very much would like to always feel understood too,
Mhm.
because that's a thing often where it's like you can say one thing, but if there's no understanding behind what you've said, like the whoever you're saying it to or whatever, like you're not understood with that, it just falls so short and it doesn't mean anything. So it's like that's where this was a really like tough one
Yeah.
for me to actually, I think is just because I had a few more like fresher examples in my mind of the appreciated thing, why I answered that way.
Nice. What about you?
Appreciated.
You too, huh? Why?
Kind of the same boat. There's been a lot of different positions throughout my career where I try to make a statement and try to mold new ways of thinking or new tactics into a business, and the people above me are like, "Thanks for your input, but essentially thanks but no thanks." And then come to find out after you leave the position or leave the company or whatever it is, within 3 months later, they not really steal your ideas, but they mold what you were trying to do and what you're trying to incorporate into that place of work.
I get it. So,
And then it's just one of those like, oh,
so both of yours are almost work related.
mm-hmm,
Appreciation,
mm-hmm.
kind of.
I think it's one of those things too where you put the effort in and you don't get, hey, good job today, or hey, good job, filling those orders, or hey, working the extra 2.5 hours later than what you should have, like the small stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think to me, like that small stuff is like more beneficial to me and make me want to keep that drive there. And if you don't reinforce that, like there's no purpose.
Yeah,
Like at the position where I'm at now, like I don't get paid to do overtime. So if you're gonna send me an email to be like, hey, we want you to work on the weekend for overtime, I'm just gonna tell you no, because there's no incentive for me to do it and waste my time of working. You know what I mean?
It's interesting the way that you brought it up, because mine actually isn't as much work related.
I guess that's where I interpreted what you were saying. Sorry.
Yeah, and that maybe that was kind of my goal, more to like not point it at home life, but that's some of my recent examples. That's some stuff that I've actually talked about.
Gotcha.
It's not a negative thing. It was honestly simply a thing of it speaks to my father-in-law's character. He is a contractor, has been all his life. He's a machine. He's a doer. He gets things done. He takes care of so many things. And the women in his life, being his spouse and his daughter, my wife, it's almost very easy to take some of those things for granted, because, man, they just get taken care of.
Right.
He's been a good provider. He's been that rock.
Right.
And me as a younger man, kind of like still learning a lot of different things and providing and supporting family and that all that kind of stuff, like some of those things that I feel like, oh, I did that.
Mhm.
I accomplished something. I feel almost sometimes would go a little unappreciated because the woman in my life was so well taken care of by the rock, the patriarch of the family, that it's almost the expectation.
Right.
And maybe it's a little selfish on my part, you know,
Yeah.
to feel the appreciation. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't need the validation. I don't, but it helps. It makes me feel like
Well, it helps everybody.
you
I
know,
mean, validation helps everybody.
and that's the thing. Like, there's sometimes folks like they depend on that just a little too much. It's like, I don't always need your validation for this, but it's at times it's like, oh, that validation actually, it almost ties into, like, if you guys know, like, what is it, the 5 love languages, or it almost ties into those kind of things, like the affirmations that you get in certain.
Okay, we're back.
We're back.
We're back.
I don't know if I'll put this in the part of the show. I might cut this out, but we had a little technical difficulties.
Little hiccup.
Now we sound great.
Yeah,
Sound
well, you
perfect.
guys sound great. I still sound like a shit.
Anyway.
Yeah,
All right, let's bust through these would you rathers because we still have to smell some salts. So
Oh,
is that-
man, I
is that in
forgot
here? Do
all
need to go
about
grab it?
that.
Is that over there?
it's over here.
Okay.
Yeah, he's prepped.
Oh,
Would you rather
That's
wake up
right.
in Freaky Friday or Groundhog Day?
Oh, I'm pretty sure Freaky Friday.
That's what I did because I didn't want to loop.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to loop. Either one's going to be like a what the hell
Right.
situation. I think I'd rather be put in a different position, knowing that I probably will get out of it. I guess you don't go into that knowing it, but yeah, Freaky Friday.
You?
Not a whole lot.
I think Groundhog Day would be fun. Like overtime, obviously, I would after you loop
First
once a
5
month.
times, maybe 10 times.
But I think I'd be like what he is in the movie, though. Like you just know everybody by name. You know what's gonna happen, and you
Yeah.
can just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But ultimately, Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think, you actually, between the two movies, Groundhog Day, you realize, like, the whole purpose of that was actually, like, you got to change who you are. You got to be a better person. You got to do things differently. I think the lesson learned out of Groundhog's Day is better than the Freaky Friday thing. But I think in the moment, like, I'd take the Freaky Friday.
Definitely.
I think I'd want that.
Would you rather be recognized for your intelligence or your kindness?
I almost feel like this is a left answer, but I kind of think kindness because I kind of think like I like being recognized when I do something that's smart and intelligent. I definitely thrive on that. That almost comes to that appreciation thing a little bit. But if in doing so, like I was an absolute prick and asshole, and at my deathbed, there was no one there because I was not a kind person, like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
A little bit. Like, I'm a social person. I'm an outgoing person. I thrive off of being in a group that appreciates me and likes me, and I treat them a certain way. So I feel like the kindness. I think that's probably where I'd go.
What do you think?
Yeah, obviously, I think you could go far with both, but ultimately, I think you'd be better off with kindness.
I went with intelligence just because if you think back at people that are remembered for long periods of time, it's usually regarding intelligence of some kind of way.
Sure.
Doesn't mean you have to be an asshole.
Right.
You can make it
Right.
whatever story you want.
True.
but
True. Yeah.
went
Like
with
I
intelligence.
went to like a far end of the spectrum on that,
which is fine.
But yeah, when I think about the kindness kind of a thing, I think like, well, who's remembered for that? Mother Teresa, Gandhi.
Yeah, that's the only 2 we came up with Bia's because Bia went kindness too.
Yeah. But then
Princess Diana.
when you think intelligence, that list could go way further. So
What do you say?
Princess Diane.
Yeah.
That's 3.
oh, there you go.
That's one I had one
Good
too.
one. Yeah.
Yep. See, I'll add to your list.
Would you rather have more time or more energy?
I want to say I think time, because it's the one thing that you can never get back, regardless.
Mhm.
You cannot affect that one.
Yep.
Your energy, I mean, you can change that.
Yep.
You can affect that.
Yep.
You can be in control of that. I've literally done things in my life that have given me more energy.
100%.
Can't do a damn thing about the time.
That's what I went with too. Was time.
Time.
I think so far that's probably been about the easiest one you've asked.
Yeah. Fans with energy.
What a bitch. Fucking bull semen. You want more energy to jerk your bulls off?
Would you rather be able to control the weather or the traffic?
I'm going to say weather. I have a wife that I could have lost
Right.
due to weather.
Right.
I know that we all probably deal with adverse traffic more than we deal with adverse weather. So the frequency with the traffic would make more sense. But sometimes in my opinion, I have found that getting frustrated with traffic can teach me more patience, because it's not all the time that I am in such a damn hurry that I have got to be here at this exact time. It does come up, but I think that that's an opportunity to practice patience, as opposed to weather can literally wipe out loved ones.
I was
and
weather.
yourself.
Yeah.
Weather.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
say
I mean-
traffic after the way I just answered.
I was going to say neither, but I don't think I can answer neither. So I'll just have to pick one and just
Yeah.
go weather.
Would you rather have unlimited knowledge or unlimited creativity?
I'm gonna go with unlimited knowledge, because I like nerding out. I like geeking out on stuff, and I think creativity is awesome. I love right brain, that kind of a thing too. Did I just mix that up? Right.
I'm not sure which one's which,
I
but
forget now. But either way, the creativity thing to me can only go so far if you don't have enough knowledge to go with it, kind of a thing. Like I literally just said that today on the drive back. Rowan was talking about creating something that could do this, and I was like, Rowan, you could spend your whole entire life, and there's people that do spend their entire life trying to create. It was about a time machine.
oh,
It was literally a time machine that he was talking about, and I was like, you could spend your entire life trying to create that, but if you're not applying the right logic, the right facts, all the stuff, you're never gonna create what you're actually after. So it's
Right.
like, I think the knowledge thing. I love the knowledge thing. So
That was knowledge too.
I'm gonna stick that.
Knowledge.
Would you rather know what the happiest day of your life will be or the worst day of your life ahead of time?
That's a good one. I want to say neither. I want to just let them be. But maybe the worst day. Maybe the worst day of my life, simply because I know that would be my lowest, and I could hopefully be in control of my attitude, my surroundings enough to where I might never know what the happiest day will be. And I could try to mold that, whereas the worst day of my life is probably going to be affected by a lot of outside factors that I don't have the control over.
Okay.
Lowest.
You want worst?
Same thing. Or worst. Yep.
I went with happiest because, and my logic for it was that, let's say your worst day is the death of a child, and you know ahead of time, and you don't take advantage of all the time that you do have. All you're worried about is them dying, or a family member, or whatever, and you don't spend the time that you should be spending in the correct way. So I went with happiest because you can still have happy days. Yes, maybe your happiest day is going to be this one, but you're still going to have happy days. That's how
good.
I looked at it.
That's good perspective to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
I was.
Oh, go ahead.
but I don't know if I was gonna. So just recently, like, so there was when we had Rowan, and lots of times to like put him to sleep. Like I said, he wasn't the best sleeper and stuff. There was we would have an iPad that would play like the soft music and stuff, and there was a few songs every now and then that would come on that would actually have lyrics, and we were always kind of like, we don't want a lyrical song on here. We want just like kind of the sounds and stuff. But there was a song, and I know it's not about children or anything like that. And I forget who actually sings it. I think it's maybe two folks. Maybe it's Megan Trainor or something like that. But that, like, I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you is like the line in the song. And I remember hearing that when like literally rocking Rowan to sleep as a baby. And just I've actually recently tried to think about that one a lot more because like we don't know what the future holds. And like you even said, with the worst, for an example, the worst day of your life might be the loss of a child. And so I almost think about like, we don't know what might have something horrible come up. And all the times that I spent being just an authoritative dick, telling him like, no, you can't do that. You can't. It's like, and just going out of my way to stop him from doing something or whatever. It's like, man, ease up.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
Pump the brakes, kid.
Pump the brakes, Jim.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I get that. Would you rather never be able to show your emotions or never be able to hide them?
I think maybe rather never be able to show them. I don't know. I feel like many times I feel like I'm already the type that doesn't hide them that well all the time anyway. So it's like that's kind of almost me already.
That's where I took it, so I just stayed with it.
Yeah, because that's same, exact same.
Yeah, never show them.
Never show them? You want to never be able to show them?
Right.
Well, that's you already.
That's me already.
So you're opposite of us.
I never even know. I never know when he's mad at me or happy with me.
Yeah. Well, it's just one little squint to the eyes.
Well,
the eyebrows go down.
sometimes he'll do this. We started this little thing back in like high school where it's like this little like tongue thing. And if he does that, I know that we're in a good spot.
This one's kind of funny. I was going to take it out, but it got a little laugh last time. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized elephants or one elephant-sized duck? A 100 duck-sized elephants.
You know what? I've got this.
Done this. You've done this before.
I've got a desire. I've got a desire to just clock a goose. Just beat it.
Yep.
Because when I was at Kiewit,
Yep.
a very high up guy was attacked by a goose outside when he was going to his vehicle.
Yeah.
And knocked his ass down. He ended up getting a concussion.
Oh, no.
All these things. And he told me the story. Like, I actually spoke with him about it, and he told me the story, and he's like, well, I didn't want to touch it. And I was like, this bird put you in a state of concussion, and you didn't want to touch it?
Turns out you could have just grabbed its neck and snapped it.
Oh, that's part of it. Like, I'd love to just punch one, but I'd also like to catch it by that long neck and just swing that thing. So even
like Thor's hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a
Now,
bola.
there may be 100 of them, but bring them on.
I'm okay with the 100 duck-sized elephants. I ain't fighting no elephant-sized duck.
I think probably the 100 size because at least that way there you can probably kick them.
Yeah. You can. Yeah.
The volume is high, but their size is manageable.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Even being a big guy, I don't want to take on an elephant-sized duck.
Right.
So
100%. Last one. Would you rather live in a world where everyone is overly polite or overly honest?
I think oh boy, I think overly honest. I would prefer that there was less trying not to hurt feelings. I would appreciate. I think I would come to a state of appreciating when something was like absolutely like this is how it is.
100%. If you answer anything different, you can leave.
You're wrong. Do you want people? You want people to be overly polite or overly
no,
honest?
because I will give you a quick story. I will give you a quick 2-minute story. And just recently at a business local here, I'm not gonna name the business, but locally here, I walked around in the business for 20 minutes, close to the counter, just going through aisles, looking for what I wanted. Every 5 minutes, I could hear the lady say, "Well, hello, sir. Hello, sir. Thank you, sir. Hello, sir. No, sir, I cannot see you, sir. Can you remove your hat, sir?" And it's just like that 20 minutes, like I wanted to yell at her because like it was too much. It was just way too much.
It was like she was on repeat. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't genuine
I get
at
that
all.
she was trying to be polite, but that's just you're not being polite. You're just being a robot, and you're just saying it just to get through the day.
Right.
And I'm
Like it was way too much.
to me, I'll break this down into a saying that we've all heard. And if you don't agree with it, again, I just feel you're wrong. Facts over feelings.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Because that you can be polite, you can be overly polite in the attempt of not hurting feelings. But if that's at the expense of not saying things how they truly are, truly meant to be, I'll take the facts.
100%.
Yes.
Now we're going to have a little fun.
It sounds like you guys might have a little fun.
You're good. You just moved away from the mic.
Oh,
Yeah. So we're going to do some smelling salts. You've seen this on this show before.
I am.
What I want you to do first, though, is just give a whiff of this Ziploc bag.
Keep in mind, it's a bag within a bag.
Yeah. So that was another. There was another sealed bag with a sealed bottle.
So, yeah.
That's just the appetizer.
So why do they call it salts when it's clearly ammonia?
Because it's the crystals. It's
Right.
ammonia crystals.
Salt.
So we should call it meth.
Oh, sure.
What do they call them? Bath salts if they just dissolve?
I don't know.
Neither do I.
You're
I'm
the
asking
expert.
you.
I don't know.
Are we
Okay.
making him go first?
Yeah. Well, he's 100% going first.
I'm the guest.
Why did
What?
I was gonna say, why did you take off the lid if we're gonna pass the bottle?
I didn't want to give him a chance to not do it.
Oh,
You know me.
I know.
There ain't no way I'm not doing it.
So the recommendations are eyes closed, 6 inches away.
That's the prescribed.
That's the
Yes.
prescribed.
6 inches away.
so bottom of the microphone.
Where's your ruler?
roughly about the bottom of the microphone? That's give or take 6 inches.
Do you want it right under the just right
Yeah.
chestish?
Close your eyes though.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, holy crap.
Yep.
So you had me try that other brand.
I did.
Just to kind of give it a.
Yep.
I would go snort that.
Yes.
Like crush it up and snort that.
And you know what
This
the kicker
is insane.
You know what the kicker is that bottle is the same price as that bottle.
Yeah. Same price.
Well, I feel like somebody's getting ripped off.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
The eyes thing though. Like,
Yeah.
so if you.
You can do it. I
Yes.
told you just do it.
I got
do
a
it
little too
prescribed.
close right there. I'm just breathing and taking
Yeah.
it in. So is it burn the eyes? Is that
It
like,
could.
As
I
make it
I
water.
did it opened eye one time, and it'll
make it
make your
water.
eyes
you
water.
felt it kind of?
Yeah.
My goodness, that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It just opens up the tear ducts a little bit.
That was about 4 inches.
Yeah, the tear ducts. Like my eyes were closed, but the tear ducts are going now.
Yeah.
Okay, so go closer then. Right?
That, again, your call.
That's all.
You don't have to. We can pass it now.
It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Like, you know? Like, I don't.
I will say that maybe this
massive crystals in here.
Yeah, this will be the last time for you though. It says like only do it like, what did it say? Don't be exposed to it for too long.
He's got a Surgeon General
Or like
warning.
three or four
Something,
times,
I don't
like
know.
max a day. Yeah.
Yeah, I got tears here a little bit.
No.
All right. I mean, I feel like I went in. I feel like
You got a little overzealous on that one.
All right, yeah. How close was that?
But I was only about like that far.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You did a big whip.
Hell yeah.
It wasn't like a little.
Because I felt like as I was going in for like that third try to be just a little closer, and when I used my sniffer, I was like that didn't feel like anything like the second one. So I was like, I gotta go deeper, and I bridged a gap there. That was
All right, your turn.
I can't take a drink.
goodness.
Yeah.
Get it.
You know, I never really looked into this bottle.
I don't want to.
It looks like drugs. It looks how I assume
It's
drugs
drugs.
are.
Yes.
Right.
I don't have experience with crystal meth, but it trick a kid thinking that that's like fucking rock candy. Ooh. Were you holding your breath a little bit? Like,
I'm sniffing. I'm sniffing each time. But it's one of those things like you want to get like right here and then like sniff it quick and then like move it away. You don't want to like.
Did you?
You took it full on.
You took it full
I
on.
know. If you told me I didn't, I wouldn't believe you. My eyes were closed, so I'm trusting what you guys said. I didn't even pay attention. Did you close your eyes, or were your eyes kind of open? Okay.
No, yeah, I closed my eyes. Yeah, yeah.
Jeez, man, it's real.
Give me one more.
I can't do it anymore. I've hit the
You've gone past your
my
whiff,
daily
your
allotment.
your whiff allotments.
my sniffer quota.
It burns.
Yeah, it doesn't
That one
say-
did.
It doesn't
Yeah.
say on here, but I think it says on the bag. I think
Yeah, no more than like 3.
on the black bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy that it turned to the camera. Yeah, that'd do the trick. If you were trying to wake the dead, that'd work. Maybe that's why it's called because it's like you're getting zombies.
I think that one there was more man than my right side. That's
Oh, just hit one nostril.
20 times different than the other ones.
Oh, I dubbed up. Like I got the full on. Like my brain is mad at me. I mean, I'm past it.
screaming
I'm
like
gonna
a
say.
child.
I think the first time that we did it, the last time or whatever it was when we first got the bottle, and we opened it. Like when I woke up in the morning, like I was still sniffing it.
Oh, I'm sure. It'll smell like that for a good day and a half in this room.
I mean, my nose is running a little bit. My eyes are running a little bit.
A small disclaimer: you may smell that in the morning when you
Yeah,
wake up.
yeah.
Oh, right.
Especially how
And you're
deep,
like,
how
why,
deep you
why does
went.
it smell like cat piss in this room? I don't even know what a cat.
Did I piss myself?
Adam. Yeah. I don't even own a cat.
Well, I do want to thank you for coming today. We'll have you back on. Hopefully, all the audio is good and everything. We don't have to like redo this.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
for sure.
that just entices for Porto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely doing it again. I had a good time.
Me too. Yeah.
good.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very happy.
I'm going to go through. So just so everybody knows, our Swearing is Caring event will be April 25th at the District Event Center. Sponsors are Agra City Insurance and RJ Gall gave a monetary donation. Nebraska Health and Wellness Clinic and Jose Nuno is giving a vitamin drip to our silent auction. Box Shop Norfolk and Nate Armstead is either giving a gift card or a recliner for the silent auction. 402 Golf and Justin Summerfeld is giving something to the silent auction. Voodoo Tattoo and Tony Meyer is giving a $100 gift card for the silent auction. First National Bank FNBO came through with 4 tickets to the Nebraska-Michigan baseball game for the silent auction. And then Kim Thor Chiropractic is donating a foot detox gift certificate for their spa for the silent auction. So
Very cool.
just wanted to get that out there. But yeah, again, really appreciate you making time to do this. It was a lot of fun, and I think we should definitely do it again.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
maybe not to kick you out, but maybe next time I can actually sit next to Vance and mess with him a little bit.
Yeah, he was a little disappointed.
Yeah, right. He gets to play with his bulls.
Yep. Yes,
Well,
so you may.
Yeah. Huge thank you to my co-host today, Preston Frosch. Without him, the show would not be what it is.
Yep.
Huge thanks to Jim Wyant. Really appreciate you coming in, man.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Awesome. We'll keep on the lookout for more great episodes, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.